champion of the National League, and it is the Atlanta Braves. They have won the 2021 National League pennant, and the Atlanta Braves are going to the World Series. They are celebrating on the field. They have dethroned the 106-win Dodgers, and for the first time since 1999, the Atlanta Braves are going to the Fall Classic.
We always start with positivity on this show, don't we?
I'm telling you what, that was one fantastic game. Let me tell you, that was one fantastic game. Tommy Moody here with Patrick Perrette. So you got Perrette and Moody in the morning here for Bill Gunner, who's on a little bit of a side vacation, I guess, coming back. I think Wednesday morning, Bill's going to be back.
Yes, he'll be back Wednesday morning. He was at the Vegas Golden Knights game last night, weekend at the sports book and the craps table, it sounds like.
Hopefully he has enough money to come home.
Yes. Or
we might need to wire him some.
Hopefully he has too much money that he never comes home. We will also accept that.
Yep.
Well, happy Monday. Last Monday of October.
Happy
by
Monday.
The way.
Yeah, we've got Halloween coming up, and then the Gamecocks are off this week.
Halloween, bye week. This year is absolutely flown by. I mean, I knew it's been 8 games, but when I heard Shane Beamer say we're 8 games in and we only have 4 games left, it still kind of shocked me. But it does feel like we're doing the 7th consecutive Monday morning therapy here on the early game.
It really does.
They have 3 wins. All 3 wins have still been. We've had to talk Gamecock fans into don't be down over a loss. But here we are after I've been here since 2015, and that was probably the worst game I've ever seen. I mean, it's hard to get worse than the 11 yards at the half. And they did put up on the banner at halftime, this is the worst first half performance by an SEC team since 2008. I mean, it was bad in every single regard. So
that's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely brutal. And obviously, I see your texts. I see them from the weekend. I see them from yesterday where you were still upset. And I see them from early this morning. And we want to get to your thoughts all morning long. We've got the whole show open for you. Hit us up, 803-404-6100. That's the number for the Love Chevrolet phone lines. Give us a call. Our favorite caller, of course, Gamecock Larry, is already on hold. 87, I think, right, Jen? Is that correct? Our favorite 87-year-old caller?
Is.
Yes. And you can also text us. Lots of texts coming in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Of course, no bill, but we are still live on the live stream sponsored by Beaufort Lending. So come join. I'll say, did he just call in? I really thought so.
Sounded like him.
So, yeah, we're going to get to your thoughts all morning. But, I mean, just to start it off, general thoughts, Tommy, that was ugly.
It was. And, you know, what really gets frustrating, and we've seen this a few times as far as poor starts by the Gamecocks. But, you know, if you're going to have a poor start, you'd put your money on this one, considering the environment and the 100,000 folks going batty. But, you know, you get all excited about getting off to maybe a decent start and being in the game at halftime and giving it a run in the second half. But, oh, boy, right off the get-go, A&M runs the 95-yard punt return. And it looked like Gamecocks were in pretty good position, but he just made it was a good angle for him with the blocking scheme, and he just cut across the field. It never was – I guess he might have gotten touched. I'm not sure if he did.
Not more than a brush of the arm.
No, I don't think so. And that really got it off to a bad start. But really – when you can't block them, then you can't move the football, and that was just to say paltry yardage total in the second half. That wouldn't be doing it justice. And I know Gamecock fans are really, really frustrated. But 4-4 now, and can this team muster enough at Missouri to get a road win? That's what this season I think comes down to. If you can do that, because they're just doing too many things poorly, Patrick, on the football field to give you much hope for winning a couple of ball games.
I mean, you need to salvage anything of the season. You need to go 2 for 4. When you lose by 30 points and it's 44-0, you take a poll of Gamecock fans, and not many of them are going to say we have a shot to win any of these 4 games. Mm-hmm. But Missouri's still winless in conference. Missouri is not a good football team right now. You're playing Florida in 2 weeks. South Carolina always seems to play Florida tough in some regard, and there is a little strife going on within that Florida locker room when you've got a quarterback saying, I'm a Gator right now. You know, Clemson, we'll get into that a little bit. They're not a good football team right now. They really are not. For all the offensive woes the Gamecocks are having right now, that Clemson offense, chock full of 5 stars, is no better. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're a little bit better. It's actually hard to get worse in the Gamecock offense right now.
Yeah, and give Pittsburgh a lot of credit, but Clemson is just not the Clemson we're used to.
Nope. And the Clemson defense is good, so I give that Pittsburgh offense a lot of credit. Kenny Pickett is going to be an NFL player. That wide receiver, Jordan Addison, actually went to my high school. Probably the best player that's ever come from my high school.
Yeah.
But he went down with a concussion, but he was great in the first half, touchdown and 80-something yards. Pittsburgh's a legit team. If they didn't lose to Western Michigan for just not showing up one day, they'd be tops of the ACC. But it really was. It was a good college football weekend overall. There was a lot of exciting
Better than
games.
we thought it would be.
Yeah, because I was complaining all week last week that this slate was terrible. There were no matchups of top 25 teams. There were a lot of good teams on buys this week, just from what I can think of off the top of my head. In the SEC, I can think of at least Georgia, Kentucky, Auburn, and
5 teams off.
Yeah, and Missouri, all off. Arkansas was off. Texas was off. Iowa was off. Ohio State was off. Like a lot of top 25 teams off this week, and there was not a single ranked matchup, not a single late game. But it was exactly what I was hoping for when a couple of these unranked teams came up and almost took down top teams. And during the noon slate, there were 3 top 10 teams about to go down at the same time, and a couple of them pulled it out. One did not. So, yeah, we'll get into all that, but obviously we're going to lead with the Gamecocks.
Just final yardage totals for that game, A&M 477, and they did kind of call off the Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the fourth quarter. But South Carolina 185, and the last 2 touchdowns in the game were scored by South Carolina, one on a run, and also a pass by Jason Brown, who I want to mention Jason Brown because I thought, Patrick, now correct me if you disagree, Jason Brown's pocket presence, even though he's up against mostly backups on the field for Texas A&M because he goes in at 44-0. I thought his pocket presence, feeling the rush, evading the rush, going through all his checkdowns to find a receiver in the end zone for a touchdown. He did throw 2 picks. One was the A&M defender was not even close to the receiver on the sidelines, but he threw it on the run. He threw it behind the Carolina receiver, hit off the Gamecock's hand, and then popped up in the air and made it an easy interception for them. So you can't do those kind of things. But I thought all in all, his pocket presence was better than I've seen from either one of the other quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, I would say it's not really a high mark that he's comparing against, but I did think he looked good at the end. I mean, it's hard to say that when you play one quarter and throw 2 interceptions that you looked good, and it's not like neither interception was a fault. The throw was behind Zaquandre White, but really what I was almost the most impressive play from him was almost the bad snap where he picked it up and had the composure to just quickly roll out and throw it out of bounds. He's going to be a huge topic of conversation, not just today, not just tomorrow, for the next 2 weeks until Shane Beamer names a starter for Florida.
Yeah, and speaking of the bad snaps, so just your estimation, 7, 8 during the game?
Something like that, yeah. And there were 3 just on Jason Brown. 2 of his first 3 snaps were bad, and then there was a snap over Zeb's head, obviously, that gave gift-wrapped Texas A&M a touchdown.
Recovered on about, the 6-yard line and just easily took it in. That's not winning football. It's just not, no matter who you're playing, when you have trouble doing things like that, you're in deep trouble, especially if you can't block them.
Yeah, and it just shows how this offensive line is bad in absolutely every regard right now. So we will for sure get into all of that. We don't want to make Gamecock Larry wait too long, though. We're going to go right out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Gamecock Larry, how you feeling? Not good, I hope. You're feeling good.
I don't feel real good, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think I've ever seen an offense played as bad as they played Saturday night. And I've seen a lot, but I don't think I've seen them played as bad. But what disappoints me more than the loss is some of these Gamecock fans. Now, if I say something I ain't supposed to say, you cut me off. But you Gamecock fans are putting this stuff on Facebook. I want you to remember one thing. We still play in the SEC. We still got to recruit in the SEC. So if you got something I can't say the word, but you got something you want to say about these young men and about this coaching staff, you call them on the phone or you do something else, but don't put it out on Facebook with all these young men that we're trying to recruit's going to come in, or we want them to come in and play for the Gamecocks. Because I see some things on there that I'll tell you right now, if I could get a hold of you, any of you, to put that on there, me and you'd go round and round.
Larry, losing's not fun, and Gamecock fans they invest a lot of it, and I know a lot of them who you hear from online and on Facebook. They might not give a dime or invest much into the university, but they want them to win. But at the same time, a lot of people invest a lot of money into this program, and you're in a $50 million football operations building, and that is I agree with Patrick. That's about and with you, that's about as bad an offense as I've ever seen at South Carolina.
I know that, Tommy, but this is not the. I mean, okay, I'll just let it go. Man, you disagree, but I know that people pay a lot of money. But remember, we're still in the SEC. We still got to recruit.
And I do agree with you. I do agree with you, Larry, about putting it online and as long as you can stand up and take it and give your name out there and be responsible for it, I guess that's fine. But you're right about the recruits. It's kind of a double loss situation there. If you're going to criticize the team, you're going to get online and do that, then the recruits are going to read that kind of stuff, and your point's well taken.
Hey, Gamecock Larry, the recruits aren't on Facebook anyway. Don't worry about it. They're on Instagram and Snapchat.
Okay, one other thing. Let me tell you what we're going to do in the remaining 4 games. We got the remaining 6 weeks. We got 2 weeks to lay off. We're going to practice for the next year. We're going to come out there and we're going to play Florida. We're going to start the next year's quarterback. We're going to have Zeb Nolan come in there to lead us down the field on a winning touchdown. We're going to win 3. I will guarantee 3 wins out of the next 4 and maybe 4 out of the next 4. We're going to win. We're going to go to a bowl, and we're okay. I love 107.5. I love Gamecock Nation, but I don't love some of the stuff I read. Go Gamecock.
Okay, thanks, Larry.
We love you too, Gamecock.
That's going to be that'll be the most incredible turnaround in college football history if the Gamecocks win 3 games. Because the schedule gets even tougher, and of course you got to go to Missouri, and I think as of last week, if you looked at the extended odds up till that point, Gamecocks were even an underdog in that game.
Yep. So, I mean, that will be the topic of conversation as we get into the bye week. What are your thoughts? What can still be accomplished? What is reasonable to expect? But Gamecock Larry, stay off of Facebook. It's a cesspool. It's not good for you emotionally if you can get all riled up like that. Just listen to 107.5. We'll take care of you. But we'll keep it going. 803-404-6100. That's the number if you want to call or text. Love Chevrolet phone lines, Cool Care Heating and Air text lines. Join us on the live stream sponsored by Buford Lending. You can find that on YouTube or Facebook, just at 107.5 The Game. You can hit me up on Twitter at _Patrick Perrette, and we will keep your thoughts coming all morning as we bring it back here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoffs are here.
Sometime, crew is up against.
All right. Good morning, live stream. Good morning, DC. We probably will hear more ski mask comments. Yes, morning. Morning, Craig. Morning. I see Tomboy, you told us your name, but I forgot. Arthur Baird. Hello.
Love that photo, don't you?
DC, yeah. Yeah. Tommy will not be on camera. Tommy will be but not on camera. The camera that feeds to the studio keeps messing up because of, I guess there's too much power coming out of the computer.
Weather-wise, we're looking for pretty rainy conditions today. Showers and storms are possible. High of 82. And the sun comes back out tomorrow, 74 for the high, 72 on Wednesday. But right now it's cloudy. A couple scattered showers about 67.
Good thing I had an airtight lid on this thing.
Sponsored by Beyonce and Pfizer. Football, music festivals, finding the perfect costume. It's going to be an autumn to remember. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
High school coverage on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
Breathe easier in your home with Zero Res Air Dust Cleaning. Right now, mention the Bill Gunner with 107.5. buy out the game, you can get $30 off your next Air Duct Clean Plus, 15% off filtered and purified.
Spectrum Mobile is reinventing wireless.
did the Vandy in Nashville what I thought we were going to do to Vandy here.
Yeah.
No contract.
Exactly.
522 to 155 in yards.
5G.
We get
60% with Spectrum Mobile and unlimited on 2+ lines for $29.99 a month. Call 855-438-2999 or visit a store near you. Offer valid for new customers on 2+ unlimited.
trying to line up all these text messages. There was
There's a bunch.
a bunch.
What's all the buzz about irrigation and the Vage, and should I try? Here's the sign. Air filter for trapping. Did you mention Jen?
No, I don't think so. Well, Jen, yeah, I didn't. She was cutting, so I don't want to. I'm always worried about throwing it while you're in the middle of cutting things.
I've got first 2 cuts right now, but I'll get you.
Okay, okay.
Flushing out mucus. And one in each hour. I'm Martin Hill.
What are they all?
Twin
We'll
Peaks,
go.
Twin Peaks for the hotline.
Here, you read the Twin Peaks one. I'll read one of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra ones because I've been listening to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra already.
Oh, you have? Really?
Oh, yeah.
They're amazing.
Because I want to ask you. About your holiday plans because it's been a little bit controversial on this show.
About what?
When is it okay to start playing Christmas music?
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I'm one of those that absolutely loves Christmas music, but I don't want it till after Thanksgiving.
Okay, perfect.
Issue. That's all right. They were able to get out right then, get it fixed, and get my family back to its regular Christmas morning. This year, I won't make that mistake. I'll call 8 people. 500. Get Roy and Dana Finley's company out. AAA Heating and Air. You can do the same. Don't wait around till Christmas morning when it's time to open presents and it's cold. Get them out today to inspect your air unit. If there's an issue, they'll give you a $1,500 rebate, work with you on 0% financing, no money down, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. That's AAA.
Oh, and I was going to mention, we get to the NFL. Listen to this now. There were only 4 underdogs who won, okay?
Yeah.
Out of the 12. All right. The Colts were 12 points. So they won by 12. They were underdog by 4. The Titans won by 24. They were underdog by 4.5.
The average margin of victory was almost 21 points.
Yeah, the Bengals won by 24, and they were 6.5 underdogs. And the Giants were 3-point underdogs, and the Panthers didn't even show up.
Do you want to read that liner?
Yeah.
The big one.
107.5 Big Game.
Welcome back to the early game. Tommy Moody and Patrick Ferret here as we try to get through a therapy.
Ball therapy Monday morning. And also want to remind you that 107.5 The Game and Twin Peaks give you the chance to speak your mind whenever you feel like it. Our Hot Take Hotline is there for you 24/7. Call 803-978-6654. That's 978-6654 if you need to vent. Sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street.
So, your thoughts are piling in right now on the text line.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, I will get to some of them. And you know what? Most of them, as you can expect, pretty much follow the same theme. Like B from Columbia says, at this point, does Beamer have any other choice but to get rid of Satin, the O-line coach? I don't see how you keep either one at the end of the season. Would it be drastic to relieve them this week? So, I mean, look, we'll just start with that because we're going to hear a lot of that.
Yes, we are.
Tommy, you give your opinion, but would it be drastic to relieve them this week? Yes, I think so. It's just going to put you in such a bad position for the rest of the season if you don't have your offensive coordinator or your offensive line coach. Like, who are you going to promote to offensive coordinator? We love Eric Kimmery, and that's what people have suggested. Put him in and have him call the plays, but it's a large jump from Hammond to South Carolina in the SEC when you've got 4 pretty darn good teams left, except for Missouri. If you can't score against Missouri, then I don't know. Anything is up for debate. But look, you got 4 games left. If it comes anything close to what we've seen, there's no way he can be brought back. I don't care how good of friends you are with him, but this has just been the worst offense we've seen.
Yeah, I think that you get your 8 games in, you got 4 left to go, and you're still trying to improve as a football team. And I don't know if that's the best way to go about this, to try to get better in the last 4 games is to relieve somebody of their duties. And, I would hate to be the offensive coordinator and the play caller when you can't block.
Right.
When you don't have any semblance of a running game, the quarterback's under siege, gets flattened and briefly loses consciousness, and that makes it really, really tiresome on an offensive coordinator to try to call plays when that kind of stuff is going on the field. But having said that, South Carolina, I think, as far as play calling, just quote play calling, not making decisions as to whether they go to field goals or touchdowns or whatever, I haven't had a problem with it. I haven't, but you got to get out there and execute. And these guys are professionals. They wouldn't be on this coaching staff if they weren't professionals, but the job is not getting done. But when it comes to the offensive line performance, I think it's more of execution than what you're trying to do on the field from a play calling standpoint.
I can see that. I mean, Craig does say on the live stream, to me, it shows how incredible it was of Bobo to be able to scheme up runs last year with this O-line. Satterfield is drinking out of a fire hose. And that is something that we've been saying all year. And we've had Perry Orth on to talk about it and said very clearly, if Mike Bobo was coaching this team, the running game would be better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't have a running back in Kevin Harris, who was over 1,000 yards in 10 SEC games last year, be under 300 yards through 8. I mean, it's just night and day. And obviously, people will say this. I've seen it a bunch, and it's absolutely true. Zaquandre White is the best running back on this team right now. Zaquandre White came in
quick.
Yeah, he came in the second half. I don't know why he's not touching the ball in the first half, but this is the second week in a row. He comes in the second half and absolutely lights a fire under the offense. He's making guys miss when he's caught behind the line of scrimmage, and I don't know why they're just waiting to put him in so long. Marshawn Lloyd made a couple of good plays, but look, Zaquandre White's the only person that adds an explosive element to this offense right now. And outside of maybe Josh Vann at times, he was probably the only person that you can say played a good game for South Carolina offense. So look, the offensive line is terrible. I don't know what they can do about it. We're going to discuss it a bunch, but that is a good point by Craig. And do you miss Mike Bobo now? What do Gamecock fans truly want? At 803-404-6100. Let us know. Is it in your heart of hearts, do you genuinely want to see? Will you be happy if the offensive coordinator is fired after 8 games in his first year, after not calling plays for 5 years, after never being an offensive coordinator really before?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Rule had a massive hand in that Temple offense. So is that truly what you want? And also, do you think this thing can get fixed? We've said it for a couple weeks now. Is this offense what we think they are? Is this team what we think they are? Shane Beamer actually said it. He said we're 8 games in, and we have a pretty good idea of what we are at this point. So can it change? And if so, how? You have 2 weeks to get ready for the next game now. This is your last opportunity really to make a big jump offensively, because if you don't play well against Florida and then you come back and play well against Missouri, we're going to say that was a flash in the pan because Missouri's defense is terrible. So, I mean, what can be done? And do you think this offense just is what it is at this point?
Well, let me tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you that late in August, I was so excited about Marcus Satterfield. I really was. I've seen videos of him coaching. Love his coaching style. Love how the attention to detail made me want to get out and play for him. Just hearing him talk and watching him coach on video. And to me, it's really the most disappointing part of this team is the offensive line, and I think that's probably a general consensus. I think on our survey on the halftime show last Thursday or Friday, whenever they took the survey, 87% of the several hundred in the poll said that was the thing that they wanted to see improve the most. And I think that's maybe a little less than some of us thought. But I'm just taken aback as to where. Now, let me say this: a couple of nights the other night, I saw against Texas A&M, I saw the running back go into a hole instead of on the outside. It was absolutely, he's trying to do what he's supposed to do, go through where the blocking is supposed to be. But sometimes you got to let that football savvy, that field presence take over, and you got to be able to find the open space. And a couple of times they didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had the debate all year where some people are saying this isn't a talent issue, this is a coaching issue, and then some people saying the coaches can't coach up this team because there's not enough talent. Look, we're at the point where it's clearly a combination of both. There's clearly an issue with something going on. When you throw, the first drive was driving me crazy because you have one run and 2 passes behind the line of scrimmage. Something about this offense is not working where you can't throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage because your guys are not making people miss. But then it drives me crazy when I see Texas A&M do the same thing and they throw a ball to a tight end screen that goes for 35 yards and a touchdown. Like why are things like that working? Why is Jalen Weidermeyer able to catch a tight end screen and take it to the house, basically untouched? He breaks one tackle. I think it might have been Darius Rush diving at his knees and missed. But South Carolina tries to do it to Jaheim Bell on the first drive of the game, and then Jaheim Bell doesn't touch the ball again for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and a few of the passes weren't on target, and we realize that. But at the same time, boy, you got to have it in the back of your mind. Well, you got to have it in the front of your mind. That, boy, I better get rid of this thing. I'm going to get flattened. Boy, did Zeb Nolan get sandwiched between a couple of guys and just went down flat on his back.
Yep.
You just felt for the young man with the blood coming out of his nose, and it was just it was really hard to watch. You expect a little bit better, and this is probably not an accurate statement, but close as I can come, just guessing. But I think it's you get my gist. It seems like South Carolina has had a top 25 recruiting class, probably at least 6 of the last 8 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of the teams, for the Vandy's of the world, Missouris, Kentucky's, they couldn't say that. They can't say that. And so it's hard to say that it's just, boy, we better go out and get more talent. I know the quarterback position has been banged up all season long, but at the same time, a lot of these offensive linemen were recruited much more heavily than some of the teams South Carolina's having trouble putting away or even getting a win against.
Yeah, the offensive line is the hardest thing for us to just evaluate from our couches because we genuinely just don't know. Offensive line scheme is something that most casual fans have no clue about. You just know if it's working or not. But it's just, you can't say that it's just a talent issue. And I went through Texas A&M's roster and looked at some of the guys that were lighting us up. What were their recruiting rankings? I mean, obviously you got DeMarvin Leal. He is a certified beast. The defensive lineman for Texas A&M. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be a top 10 pick. That guy was wreaking havoc all day long, and they moved him all up and down the defensive line. But alongside him, Michael Clemens and Tyree Johnson, both 3 stars. All those superstars on offense. Anaya Smith, who takes a 95-yard punt return to the house. He's a 3-star. Devin Achane is a 4-star, so he's a big-time recruit. Jalen Weidermeyer is a 4-star. And Isaiah Spiller's a 3-star. So it's not like this is just all 5 stars.
Isaiah Spiller's a 3-star?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But these are all going to be professionals. They're all really dynamic players. But you know what? South Carolina has dynamic players too. Marshawn Lloyd should be that kind of player. He was a borderline 5-star recruit. Zaquandre White, we've seen, is that kind of dynamic player. If he was getting better blocking and things like that, and it wasn't so hard for him to make guys miss, maybe he would be making plays like that too. Jaheim Bell, he's every bit the athlete that Jalen Weidermeyer is. I mean, there's very few players in the country
Tremendous
that can say,
athlete.
just from pure physical tools and athleticism, there are very few people that are as athletic as Jaheim Bell walking this planet, nonetheless, in college football right now. So it's just your inability to get those guys involved is just stunning right now. And I can't put my finger on it. I don't know how it's going to change. Is it more RPO? I heard Beamer talking about it. Like, we tried to get balls, quick shots out to the outside, work everything to the outside so that we can take some pressure off their offensive line, and none of it's working.
So they were onto that in a hurry, that's for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know where we go from here, but look, it's Monday. Everybody's going to be upset, and we're going to keep talking about it. But as we go through the morning, we're not going to just focus on the negative. We're going to talk about the Braves. The Braves are going to be playing in the World Series tomorrow. It was a fun weekend of college football. Clemson lost, if that makes anybody feel better, and NFL was not so great.
And Craig brings up the point that you were just talking about on our text line there. Jaheim Bell is on the back of a milk carton. And
absolutely.
That kind of says it all, because that guy can do a lot of things with a football in his hands and without the football in his hands, for that matter.
Yeah,
but it's so frustrating. I know for Gamecock fans, and you listen to one right now who just gets cut to the quick when South Carolina loses any football game. So it's been really tough. A&M 477 yards, Carolina 185, but almost all of that 185 under the direction of Jason Brown in the fourth quarter. But I thought did a lot of good things on the field.
I believe it was quick math is 100. I believe 170 of those. Yeah, 170 of those 185 yards, I believe, were in the fourth quarter.
Oh, that's just unbelievable.
We will keep discussing it. Bo, we see you on the phone lines. We see your text on the text lines, and we'll keep it going as we discuss 803-446-6100. Come right back here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
More of the early game coming up on 107.5 The Game.
From the Shepherd's Glass Trap.
All right. So we will probably have to be fairly quick in the next couple segments because we are ahead of the ball here. Okay. We'll get quickly out to the phone lines and
And other than that,
Let's see where our time was.
Also want to mention when we get to the NFL, I think I sent you and Bill a text about this guy last week, about Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah.
The interim coach.
Mhm.
He was a fantastic assistant coach at Carolina and Clemson. And I know for a fact, because Clive Wren and Ellis Johnson had contacted me about this during the last 2 coaching searches. He wanted to be our head coach. So I'm glad to see him doing well. He was a fantastic recruiter.
I've heard a lot of people love him. Like all of his players play love for him.
Because now beautiful eye clean white 1-carat diamond for less than $2,000. How about a gorgeous 2-carat for just $5,000? Or if you want to go really big, how about a 3-carat for just $10,000? Yes, we still carry diamonds that come from the earth, and we always will, because there's nothing more romantic than an earth mine diamond. And now modern technology gives you an amazing choice, and we're all about it. So come see us and start your journey toward getting the diamond of your dreams. Earth mine or lab grown. It's your call. And for the best selection of both, come see us at Traditions. Only Traditions Fine Jewelry. Now with 2 locations to serve you. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington or at the Sand Hills Center in front of the fountain. Traditions Fine Jewelry, where the Midlands get engaged.
Sand Hills location now open. I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Colts took care of the Niners on Sunday Night Football 30-18. Jonathan Taylor ran for a $107 and a score to help Indy to their 3rd win in their last 4 games. The Cardinals continue their undefeated season by besting Houston 31.
A lot of text messages. I'm just copying and pasting them into Word document right now so I can actually keep up with it.
Aaron Rodgers threw 3 scores in a 24-10 win over Washington. Next up, the Packers' Jake unbeaten Cards this week on Thursday Night Football. The Bengals beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase with an 82-yard score to help Cincy to the 41-17 win. And Tom Brady threw touchdown pass number 600. Bucks win over the Bears. Brady is the first player ever to do that. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Presents. Picture this. Picture yourself at DP on Thursday, October 28th for Miracle Treat Day. You roll up to order a
I mean, I get what you're saying, but why? Like, why would they? This comment is, I want to see how many of our good players hit the transfer portal at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they? I mean, who are the good players that would hit the transfer portal? The best player on your team right now is JJ Nagbaria. He's not hitting the transfer portal. He's hitting the NFL draft. Is Jaheim Bell hitting the transfer portal? I mean, he's was getting used. He's should be one of the top targets next year.
Boy, those kind of things happen. This program's devastating.
Are any of the running backs going to leave? I don't know, maybe, but I mean, you have a stable of running backs, and running back is not the issue. Are you who are you like genuinely concerned about leaving that would damage this team? I mean, agreed. They for sure have to hit the transfer portal. They did this year, and it kind of worked.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I went back and looked at Jason Brown's high school stuff.
Yeah,
he broke all the records at Fredericksburg.
Yeah, Fredericksburg, Virginia. Yeah,
and the school was lose concentration on that one. But I'm telling you, he has some great stuff, and he's much more mobile than I was led to believe that he was from watching him the other night. I know it's against backups, but still, you can tell pocket presence and rolling away from the rush.
Yep.
And scanning the field instead of tunnel vision, you know.
Experience and resume building skills to advance quickly. Employers are looking for young people to join their team and can provide part-time jobs and flexible hours for students. As early as middle school, throughout high school and college, jobs can help our young people learn critical work skills while getting an education. Because success is built one skill at a time.
You see Alan's comment in a second.
scworks.org/.
Sponsored by SC Works.
Yeah.
And now, back to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
803-404-6100. That is the number. Left trailer phone lines. Cool Care Heating and Air text lines. And yeah, I mean, you guys are lighting up the Cool Care Heating and Air text lines right now. And
kind of thought it'd be that kind of morning, didn't you?
Yep. I mean, we've talked about it. I when things are going really bad on a Saturday, I like to check the text line because I just think it's funny that people are texting in the radio station when they're watching the game and it's just going terribly. And I can't. Sometimes they address it to us. Sometimes they address it to Heath. And sometimes I think they're just listening to the game broadcast and think that Tom Ellis and Tommy Suggs can hear what they're texting or read their text lines in the middle of the game. So it's just funny. But, I'd say it's pretty consistent what we're seeing right now in the text lines. I mean, a lot of blame.
But some measured takes, some not so measured takes. I mean, Rich says it's not Satterfield's fault. Our O-line couldn't block Irmo High School. If anyone needs to go, it's the O-line coach. And maybe there's something to that. But Greg Adkins is an experienced offensive line coach. He actually has SEC experience, and he's coached good offensive lines before.
Shane would not have hired him for this position in the Southeastern Conference. So didn't have pretty good credentials there.
Is that what it is? And I guess I just don't know enough about when you're putting together an offensive scheme. Is it the offensive line coach that's designing the blocks, or is it the offensive coordinator that's saying, we're a pin and pull offense, we're a gap scheme offense?
And that designs the blocks.
Right. So is it, I assume it's a combination. I mean, everything is coordinated together between the staff, but who's ultimately deciding that? And did they just completely misevaluate what this offensive line is? Because I've heard some people say Wolford, when he was here, was recruiting these guys, and he recruited guys that were athletic because he wanted to get them on the edges. He wanted to have them out front, pulling and blocking ahead of the pack. And that's, I guess, not really what we're seeing this year. So there's a lot of blame to go around, but I don't know where it's fair to place it right now in the middle of the season.
The first step for the Carolina offensive line, they're just getting beat so many times, whether it's a fake by the on-rushing lineman or linebacker and to get him out of position or what. But, a perfect example was, against Vanderbilt. One of the offensive linemen got beaten, so he just, to protect his quarterback, he just grabbed his jersey, yanked him down near the shoulder, but just yanked him, the most obvious holding penalty. But it's better than getting your quarterback, with a torn ACL, I guess. But at the same time, it came after, with a big play for Carolina that kind of washed it out. It's just one of those things where whatever you try just doesn't seem to be working. And if it does work, then something's going to stop it, like a penalty or a turnover. So we feel your pain. No question about it. We feel your pain. And we came on the air, and before we continue into our Gamecock talk, we came on the air with the final out, a standing play by Dansby Swanson for the Braves to make the final out the other night. Tyler Matzik, text us or call me or whatever if I'm out of line here, if you're a big Braves fan. But what Tyler Matzik did in that seventh inning, the Dodgers had second and third and nobody out, and they'd already had a run in. It's 4-2, and to come in and strike out the side like that may be about as good as I've ever seen in Major League Baseball, considering the circumstances coming into the game and what all was on the line and the situation at the time. The Dodgers had just gotten out of a bases loaded situation when they brought in, I guess it was Trinan came in and got out of it. And the Braves were kind of deflated because you thought that was going to come back and haunt you. And all of a sudden, immediately you're in the soup. It's 4-2, still no out, second and third. Dodgers are on fire from a momentum standpoint. That is one of the best, if not the best, performances for that one inning that I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of baseball.
So I watched exactly 1/2 inning of that closeout game, but I mean, very happy for the Braves. I think technically I'm supposed to be a rival, but Braves are the South's team. Now that I'm a South Carolinian, I'm happy to see it, and I'm particularly happy for Freddie Freeman. Watching him celebrate, nobody really deserves it better.
Yep, nobody deserves it better. And boy, did he ever bounce back from those 7 straight strikeouts and started just hitting the ball again, hitting home runs again. And Eddie Rosario has just been on another planet. What a World Series he's going to have, and the Braves are going to have, if he could just have one half of semblance of what he did in the championship series against the Dodgers. Will Smith just was dynamite in the 9th inning. A lot of times he'll just give you a thrill a second, with his pitches and get behind in the counter, give up a hit or two or a double and the tying runs on or whatever. But he just absolutely mowed him down, and Tyler Matzik set the stage for that. But Eddie Rosario is just incredible with 14 hits in that series. The noise was deafening, about as loud as I've ever heard a ball game on television. I just was so impressed by Braves fans and the way they were into that game. And congratulations, first World Series since 1999. And as you mentioned, Freddie getting to go to the World Series. And I think Coach Manager Brian Snitker is just he may not win Manager of the Year, but from what the Braves went through with Soroka being lost and Ronald Acuna being lost, all of a sudden they just turned it on at winning time to do anything about their season. They turned it on when they had to, and they have carried it through the postseason. And remember how excited Braves fans were when LA had eliminated the Giants, which gave the Atlanta the home field advantage. How huge was that? that win by the Dodgers over San Francisco, how huge was that
Big
for the
big
Braves to have the home field advantage and get that 2-0 lead?
There were a lot of sour grapes coming from Dodgers fans. You're not on Twitter, but I saw a lot of this on Twitter, and I saw it from kind of big name blue checkmark national baseball writers saying the Dodgers lost this because they didn't have home field advantage, even though they should have. They're a 106 win team, and they were battered with injuries. And I was reading that, and all the Braves fans were responding, saying, "You're talking to a team that lost their best player, one of probably the 5-3. I don't know where you put Acuna, but one of the elite players in baseball, and Mike Soroka. Who were the Dodgers even missing? I mean, I saw Justin Turner go down. Max Scherzer obviously couldn't pitch Game 6, but who else were they missing that was a big time superstar? Do you know?
Well,
Who got hurt for the Dodgers?
The Dodgers had a snake bit kind of season, especially late in the year. Scherzer could not pitch against Atlanta in that Game 6 because of arm fatigue.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Right off the bat, you think, boy, if you're a Dodgers fan, we're in great shape. We got multi-Cy Young Award winners Max Scherzer going out there, one of the top pitchers in all of baseball. Then Justin Turner, he finally gets his bat going a little bit, plays really good third base. He pulls his hamstring, and that hurt me watching him. I've had so many of those, and so he was done. Clayton Kershaw, one of the great pitchers of our generation, he couldn't play because of injury. And Max Muncy, one of the great clutch hitters the Dodgers have, he couldn't play in this series. So they were up against it. But I got this from a very dear friend of mine who is a lifelong Dodgers fan. Baseball in 2021 stinks. Dodgers traded their future for Scherzer and Turner. And now he's talking about Trey Turner now from the Nationals, as you know, Patrick. Turner hit 200 in the LCS, and Scherzer was misused and never contributed. And so he is of the opinion that the Dodgers somehow managed to mess this up big time. But I gotta give them a sympathetic ear with the fact that they lost all those star players. But, we're talking Soroka and Acuna, some of the best the Braves have, and especially Acuna, that didn't get to play. But when it continued happening during the series and during the postseason for the Dodgers, well, they were really up against it.
Yep. And to that point about Scherzer and Turner, I mean, I dearly miss those guys. And Scherzer, I think, was one. I think his first 9 starts or something like that. He was dynamite to start for them. And I don't know what happened at the end of the year. He's getting older. I don't really know what a dead arm is either. I mean, but Trey Turner is again like one of the elite players in baseball.
One of the very fastest, if not the fastest player in baseball, and plays a really good infield there, was an outstanding shortstop for the Nationals. And he's got power for a guy who's not built very strongly.
And he's not 30 yet. So, I mean, when you say they traded their future, I mean, they still have him. He's going to be a big part of their future with him and Mookie Betts 1-2 in that lineup. They obviously traded Keeper Ruiz, catching prospect, and Josiah Gray, big time pitching prospect, who are both going to be big building blocks for the Nationals. But you know what?
And a $267 million. They were so far ahead of the Yankees as far as how much money they spent on this team.
So they looked invincible, but the Braves, I mean, they defeated Goliath, and it's got special vibes coming out of this team right now. So you know what? Not all negative right now. If you're a Gamecocks fan and a Braves fan, you got to be feeling pretty good tomorrow. And the World Series will get going tomorrow, and we will continue talking about that as we move forward here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT.
The game paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One with a preview of Week 7 as the New Orleans Saints take on the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, Craig, both teams went over the total in the Wake Army game. And I was actually looking at that one as one that I was like, should I just run it back with Army again? Because I took them in the Wisconsin under 39 last week, and my goodness, was that a shootout. Even weirder than that is Penn State and Illinois. Maybe not weirder. That's a crazy stat when each team hits the over by themselves.
Yeah.
Penn State and Illinois went to 9 overtimes and still went under.
What do you think about that 2-point conversion after the second over?
Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about it. It's interesting. It's interesting for sure. I don't know how much time we're going to have going back. We probably won't.
Yeah.
That's like actually a good debate to get started on. We'll probably open at 7 o'clock.
To me, they're trying to decrease the amount of time it takes to play games.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
No, because you've got all that gap after they run one play and they don't get 2 points. You've got another big gap.
We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online.
How much of that Beamer do we have? We'll probably play something coming back in.
We'll even bring it out curbside, or you can have your plant right to your.
How much of the Beamer audio do we have? Okay.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn.
I'm not sure how much time we have.
Okay.
But and then Chris asked if you would pop in there when you're done and maybe just talk to her. She wanted to see if you could do like a quick minute.
You forgot to mention that when you walk in.
Can do this.
Just a
Find
quick
vaccines near you.
60 seconds.
About
What happened at the game.
U.S. Department of
Yeah,
Health
so
and Services.
I said, you know, as soon as you have a second, you'll go talk to her. Just find out when is a good time for you to go do that, whether it's top the hours, you know.
Okay.
So like, it's just, she's talking 60 seconds.
Don't let it run your life. There is a solution. Since 2008, the attorneys at Exxon Law Firm have devoted their practice to the resolution of tax problems.
15 yards in the fourth with minus 15 rushing. I was generally concerned for Nolan's health. He looked to be out of it, one of
We're a local
on one
attorney
of the.
with local solutions. At every initial consultation, we'll listen to your concerns, your goals, and explain the
One of
systematic
those
process
things.
we use. to solve
He got
your tax
flat.
problems. From that initial meeting, you'll see there is a solution dedicated to improving your life by solving your tax problem. If we sound like someone you want to work with, take that first step. Give us a call at 803-771-9800 or go to ExxonLawFirm.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, it's Heath. Fast Signs. Fast Signs has a great special going through the end of the month.
Our team just got beat this weekend by 30. Why are we talking baseball? Because our team got beat by 30. That's why we're talking baseball.
$495.99. You get double sided with the same dimensions for $695. It's perfect for real estate agents, golf tournaments, politicians, retail. It's perfect for now hiring signs.
Tell David,
Take advantage of it right
great
now.
question last night with Shane.
781-2229 on Harvest next to Outback.
Ready to get your home insanely clean for fall? Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119. Plus, mention me, Bill Gunner, with 1075 The Game. You'll get a hallway clean for free. Schedule ZeroRedColumbia.com.
Silverados are back in stock at Herndon Chevrolet. We're ready to kick the inventory shortage to the curb with new trucks available now. Trade in and trade up to a new ride and leave the stress of last year behind. Your trade will never be worth more than it is right now. Visit Herndon Chevrolet online at HerndonChevy.com. Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you want to smile.
If David could come on, when would be the best time, you think? I know he's got a family, he needs to take care of in the morning. Maybe would 8:30 work?
During their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Steven Sanders. When you're hurt at work, I go to work getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
This update is sponsored by AAA Heating and Air, home of the $1,500 buyback. If your house is in need of a new heating and air unit, call AAA Heating and Air today for 0% financing, no money down, plus a $1,500 savings. Call today and get a new unit tomorrow. 677-1500.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take like a minute.
It's 1075 The Game. Shop online today and see what
Can we play number 2?
makes you smile.
Thank you. And that's Shane Beamer in his post-game press conference. Clearly dejected guy right now, and you know, I think he pretty much echoes the fan base right now. He said a couple times nobody's hurting as bad as his team is right now, but you know, look, 4 games left. There's a lot of football in front of you. My question, which I expect him to say this, but he said, I feel like we're better than a 4-4 team.
Yeah.
And you know what? South Carolina fans, a lot of them, myself included, would argue, you know, you've beaten 4 really bad teams, and you've gotten blown out a couple times. That was a 30-point loss. Does that count? That counts as 1 loss, but you know what?
Mississippi State beat Vandy 45-6 in Nashville and outgained them 522 to 155. Well, it really kind of came home there.
Yeah. 803-446-100. Hitting the bottom of the hour here. Give us your calls. Give us a couple texts, and we'll bring it right back for hour 2 here on the early game on 107.5 Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free fix finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician verified fixes. The free fix finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Okay, so there's a drag queen, and I think she's Canadian. She doesn't say that she's Canadian in the video, but I think she is. And she's wearing this super fancy purple dress, poofy shoulder pads, real classic princess gown, and boom, right away she goes to the camera. This is a movie strip, and honestly, I have no idea what that is. But at the end of the video, you do understand it. I mean, not really if you're bad at math like me, but you kind of understand it. It's like a college math lecture. Suddenly, math has never been more beautiful and interesting to me. You have to see it. TikTok.
Ready to get your home insanely clean for fall? Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119. Plus, when you mention me, Bill Gunner, with 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway clean for free. Schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com.
Hi, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers. Everybody knows that diamonds are a girl's best friend. But did you know that now there's a new kind of diamond that's sure to become a girl's new best friend? I'm talking about lab-grown diamonds, of course. They're exquisite, they're stunning, and they're incredibly affordable. Best of all, if you're looking for something big, they eliminate the need to settle for a lower grade stone, because now you can get a beautiful, eye-clean, bright 1-carat diamond for less than $2,000. Or how about a gorgeous 2-carat diamond for just $5,000? Or if you want to go really big, how about a 3-carat for just $10,000? Yes, we still carry diamonds that come from the earth, and we always will, because there's nothing more romantic than an earth mine diamond. But now modern technology gives you an amazing choice, and we're all about it. So come see us and start your journey towards getting the diamond of your dreams, earth mined or lab grown. It's your call. And for the best selection of both, come see us at Traditions, only at Traditions Fine Jewelry. Now with 2 locations to serve you, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington, or at the Sand Hills Center in front of the fountain. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Progressive Insurance is proud to support veterans with its annual Keys to Progress vehicle giveaway program that helps veterans move their lives forward. This year marks 9 years and more than 800 vehicles donated to assist veterans in need, providing independence to those who protect it. Learn more at keystoprogress.com.
Build a career with the world's #1 tire brand. Michelin is seeking manufacturing professionals with production skills for their Lexington, South Carolina facilities. Successful candidates will work in an empowered, quality-driven environment with opportunities for advancement. Earn $19.08 an hour starting pay, plus shift premiums, paid vacation and holidays, full benefits for you and your family from day one, including health and life insurance, 401k, on-site health clinic, and gym. Apply for the manufacturing professional and maintenance technician positions at readysc.org/Michelin. Choose Lexington, US 5.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're on the way, and bringing friends and family with them. I'm Eddie Springer of Trey Cow Builders, and right now is the time to update, upgrade, and remodel for all the veterans ahead. Whether it's your kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or whole house that needs remodeling, with Trey Cow, it's easy. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit trealbuilders.com. Trey Cow Builders, quality from...
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome. Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
CBS Sports Flash. This report is sponsored by 5 Hour Energy. It's the one when you got to get stuff done. Drink it in seconds, feel it in minutes, last for hours. Tastes great too. 5 Hour Energy. Let's begin with Sunday Night Football. Carson Wentz 2 touchdown passes and a touchdown run. The Colts beat the Niners 30-18 in Santa Clara. There was NFL history in Tampa.
Brady motion left to right. We move right to left. Here's Brady's pass. Caught ball. Touchdown, Mike Evans. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons. Where are you?
That's a great catch, and now it's a 600.
Gene Deckerhoff and Dave Moore on Buccaneers Radio. Tom Brady, 4 touchdown passes. He becomes the first player in NFL history with 600 career touchdown passes. The Buccaneers crushed the Bears 38-3. Elsewhere, it was the Cardinals over the Texans 31-5. Arizona 7-0. The Falcons beat the Dolphins 30-28. Raiders 33, Eagles 22. Rams over the.
No, it's working.
Oh, it is. Okay. Because I did hear you guys agree, and I didn't hear anybody saying.
So there's an issue.
that they can't.
Yeah.
I was thinking, didn't you have to have your mics on? When,
Yeah, but for the breaks right now, I'm just muting that mic. Because when I mute that one is when the commercials play.
With 22 points, Lakers over the Grizzlies 121-118.
Yeah.
Warriors 119.
And it worked since Bill was at home on Friday, that's the way we did it anyway, because that was the only way we could hear. So I just muted the program mic and we just talked on the live stream like 3 ways. And that way there was no echo because there weren't 2 different computers in the same. Yeah. Depending on the setup, we kind of have to change how we do the breaks every time. It's going to be ever evolving.
behind on that,
Yeah.
you know, to not understand it. That's cool. All right. Well, not as many calls.
No.
I had 2 that, 2 people that always call me and everyone talks.
Just want to talk off air.
Yeah, Alabama jumped Oklahoma. I guess we can.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll open with. We can just open with number 1. It's that's a longer thing. Just kind of summarize everything, and then in the next segment we can probably get into
Say you want to do the middle
culture puzzle. Yeah, I'll do these ones. TSO.
Experience.
Welcome to the early game. 107.5 The Game with Bill Gunter and Patrick Perret. Why don't we?
So yeah, we weren't in studio. I had to go. I was trying to record something for the music station, like a summary of the game, but we will be turning off the commercials in the live stream.
On 107.5 The Game.
Hour 2 here on the early game, 7:03 on a Monday morning therapy, 7 consecutive Monday morning therapies. And look, people are down. That's just the way it is. We have lots of Shane Beamer sound for you. We do want to play a little bit for you right here. This was basically his opening remarks on Saturday night's press conference after the 44-14 loss to Texas A&M.
Obviously didn't do a good enough job of that. And obviously we got to look at why we played like we did in the first half. Had a great week of practice, had great focus and intent in our meetings and walkthroughs. Really felt good coming into this game about our chances of performing better than what we did. One of our keys to the game was controlling their return game. I said it all week in the press conference and with you guys. They're explosive on punt return and kick return, and you saw that. We obviously did a poor job of covering that punt, and we just give them 7 points. We snap a ball over the quarterback's head, give them 7 points, and right away, that's 14 points in the first half that we gift wrapped, and then they capitalized on it as well. Defense was out there for way too many plays in the first half. I think it was close to 40, if I'm not mistaken, in the first half alone, that they were out there at 40 plays. that part of that is offensively, and then part of that is defensively. And that was about as bad a first half as it could be in all three phases.
That pretty much sums it up.
It does. It really does.
I mean, look, it's one thing to just be bad on offense, but it's another thing to continuously be shooting yourself in the foot.
But this was record-breaking bad.
Yep. And that's what this team was on Saturday night. I mean, opening drive, 2 passes behind the line of scrimmage and a 1 yard run. The only thing that got your offense moving was a horse collar. So all of a sudden, bang, you punt, and Texas A&M's up 7-0 before their offense touches the field. And then you're 3 and out. You get a quarterback read option, which we haven't even seen with our mobile quarterback, but all of a sudden Zeb's just doing read option, which is
it looks like it's open, but he gets 2 yards, 3 yards.
Yeah, because he's just not. He's how they describe it. He's pulling a trailer, I think, is how Shane Beamer or Marcus Satterfield described it to that to Jordan Rogers and that SEC Network staff. And then you get a first down, but your right tackle Tyshawn Wanamaker, who's making his first start, gets a hold and gets it called back, and then your quarterback gets knocked out. Bang, and you know what, Jalen Foster. Here's another bright spot. You got one of the best players in the country in Kingsley Enagbare, who is not able to get home, but he's bringing pressure on every single play. And you've got the national leader in interceptions in Jalen Foster, who has been just an absolute delight and just shocking. And that literally came from nowhere. I don't think a single person, even like the highest you could be on Jalen Foster, no one was saying Jalen Foster is going to have 5 interceptions and lead the country through 8 games.
We talk about a nose for the ball.
Yeah, and that was a really just a kind of a bad throw. He tried to lead the receiver, and Jalen Foster was just standing right there. But it's just the story of the season. You can't capitalize on the mistakes. This defense has been opportunistic all year, and South Carolina's never been able to capitalize on it. The next drive, what do? Your receiver goes in motion, and you hit him with a snap. I mean, that just kills all momentum on the drive. And the next play, they go deep to Omarion Brown, who just got hit by the snap, and Zeb throws it 15 yards over his head. I mean, it was not a good throw, and there you go, and then you're punting.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that about hitting the motion man with the snap, because I tried to remember. I've watched a lot of football since August and over the years, but I may have seen that happen 2 or 3 times. Ever since I've been cognizant of it. I haven't seen it this year, and South Carolina just seems to just be inventing ways to beat themselves. That's just something you never see, and yet it happened to the Gamecocks.
And I don't know if this is just the players being confused or this is a coaching issue. Because the motion man caused problems several times. There was a time in the second half where Zaquandre White looked like he could have broken one off, but Jaheim Bell went in motion, and Zaquandre White just ran into the back of him. Now, Jaheim Bell kind of got pushed into him because the defensive lineman just blew through the offensive lineman and pushed Jaheim Bell right in the back. But, I mean, you have to have a clear path for your runners, and you can't be hitting guys in motion. That's the obvious thing. And you can't have 5 to 7, if you want to be generous, bad snaps in a game. You just it doesn't make any sense. I get that it was loud. And Zeb made a kind of interesting, strange comment in his post-game press conference that they were clapping on the Texas A&M defense, and that was what threw off the center. He said the refs
supposed to be.
Yeah, the refs need to be aware of them clapping in the back end. And I watched the, I guess, opposite end zone version of the snap that went over his head to look at all of the linebackers and defensive linemen, and nobody clapped. I mean, no one in their front 7 clapped. Maybe a safety clapped, but if a safety's clapping and Eric Douglas is hearing that under center 10 to 15 yards in front of him and thinking that it's coming from behind him and snapping, I mean, that's just an issue. That's just a communication issue. So I really don't know where to assign the blame, but the snap thing is just such a strange thing to be such a problem in a game that you really need everything to go your way.
Yeah, that's just one of many things. That was just one of the frustrating parts of this game. And you get out there in the first half, and you've got hope. You always have hope. You go down there to win the football game. We been thinking about that all last week. But just to see it blow up in your face immediately, and I know 100,000 fans has something to do with that, but South Carolina's got a lot of veteran players on their ball club that shouldn't affect. And I don't know with all those people yelling and screaming like they do, and they do it as good as anybody down in College Station. I don't know how you could hear a safety clapping.
But you got to be prepared for that.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
It's no secret that Kyle Fields is one of the loudest stadiums in the country. So that's got to be on coaching, right? If you're not prepared for this.
It's a puzzle, that's for sure. I don't know what the solution is, but it seems like we say this every year. It's a good time to have an off week,
right?
But the Gamecocks certainly need that, and I know Coach Beamer emphasized it boy, early this week and then late this week, especially a whole lot of recruiting trips.
Yeah. So to that noise, I mean, maybe Zeb or whatever quarterback was in it needed to be under center more. Like maybe that is a switch that you need to make. You know, you're going into a night game in a 100,000 plus seat stadium that's known to be one of the loudest in the country, and your plan is to be under shotgun or be in the shotgun and using the clap. I mean, Kentucky Joe texts in, it's just ugly. No denying it. I'd like to see Beamer go in an I formation set, 2 tight ends, only formation. The added blockers would help. Watching the Cox right now, it's the pass blocking that's just awful. I'm not sure how to address pass protections, but run blocking is fair. Certainly not opening holes needed to run effectively against SEC defenses.
And A&M they were on to what South Carolina was going to try to do, which I would have tried to do the same thing. You've got to throw those short, wide swing passes to your running backs. That can be like a controlled kind of running game because you can't run the ball, up the middle or off tackle or around the end or whatever. But they were up to that, and there was
they're swarming to the football.
Yeah, limited chances of success from the very beginning. And it really scares me sometimes on those throws when they're a little bit behind the intended receiver because it's a fumble if he drops the ball. So I wish they'd have a little bit better angle on that, and that might have something to do with the defensive pressure on the corner.
It's just it really is a mystery because we've been asking for some creativity in the offense, and that's kind of what we're seeing now. We're seeing the motions, we're seeing the jet sweeps and the orbit motions where they're taking a wider angle behind, and none of it's working. I mean, you see these other teams, a lot of these quick strike offenses in college football are doing the same thing. Just get a guy running with a running start, with a orbit motion, hit him in stride with a ball right, snap it and immediately throw it. And the guy's just got a full head of steam and all the room in the world. But when South Carolina does it, there's 5 guys in front of him and they can't make anybody miss. Like, I just don't know. I can't understand what is the issue. Why are they sniffing it out so quickly? And why is it not working? What else can we do?
I think one thing that's involved in that is when you take the snap, when you get that direct snap to the quarterback, at least look, if you're going to throw a little swing pass to the right, at least look to the left. Look that way, even if it's just 1 second.
Just one quick pump to the left.
But the Gamecock quarterbacks have been, as soon as they get the snap, they're looking right where they're going to throw the ball.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, what else can they do? What are they going to work on? I feel like it actually does need to be, you need to see more under center stuff. If you're going to say you're an NFL offense, put the quarterback under center more because they're really not doing that very often. And when you're having such bad snaps, I mean, you can only practice snapping the ball right so many times throughout the course of a practice week. If a game thing, like the moment's too big or you're a little intimidated or you can't hear right and that's screwing up the snaps, put the quarterback under center and do random things with touch or tap him when you want to snap the ball.
And Gamecocks just one of several games in the SEC over the weekend. Just a quick recap there. A&M 44, Carolina 14, 477 to 185 on the yardage, but turnovers 1 for A&M and 3 huge turnovers for the Gamecocks. Alabama over Tennessee. Boy, they blew them out late. Wasn't it 24-17 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Or something similar to that. Final score 52 to 24, 574 yards to 346. Each team with 1 turnover. Ole Miss over LSU. LSU drew first blood there to have a 7-0 lead, but it was all Ole Miss after that. Next thing I knew, they were up 31-7, and they win the game 31-17.
In Manning Stadium. You see that?
Yeah, how about that?
It's bizarre.
I know it was. 470 yards with a turnover for the Rebels, 326 and 3 big turnovers for the Tigers there. And Mississippi State goes to Vandy and wins 45-6, 522 yards, 2 turnovers, 155 is all the Commodores could muster with 1 turnover. And lastly, in the conference, it was Arkansas over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 45-3, and the Razorbacks rolled up over 500 yards as well, each team with a couple of turnovers. So kind of a mixed bag from a favorites and underdogs standpoint there, but the Gamecocks, unfortunately, I think that puts them about 4-4 against the spread. At one time, they were 3-0.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the worst performance in the SEC this weekend, though. That honor did belong to Vandy, and I that game was on right before South Carolina, right? Yeah. So I did have to tough out the last 6 minutes of that game, and it is funny to see what the announcers talk about in the waning moments of a game that's long been decided, and they're just talking about food. Alyssa Lang sitting there just eating ribs on the sideline, and they're talking about the NFL. They start making NFL picks in the middle of a college football game. I was just like, man, they had to be fully prepared for a game that was well over in the first half, and that same thing happened in the South Carolina game. They were just goofing around in the second half, and in one of the last drives, they started talking about kolaches. where they were going to go get kolaches after the game. It was like, well, that's when you know things are not going well.
Yeah, Vandy was woeful. They really were, just to put it mildly. They're losing 45-6. And when we come back from our next break, there was some really good.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be kind of a dull Saturday nationwide around the country. Well, we had some thrillers. We had some odd things happen. We had 9 overtimes, and we'll discuss that when we come back.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. In your car, online, on the app, and streaming on your smart speaker. 107.5.
All right. You want to get back? You want to get to him before we get to the other games? Or is it easy?
All right, so I'll read a liner, and then we'll get into
From
the whole
the
weekend.
Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass.
I put some notes in my phone about all the. I think the big ones were really all those noon games.
Yeah. Road at Langford Road and earlier.
The Illinois Penn State game.
We got Wake Forest. That was New England.
Shootout, yeah.
Eastbound at I-77. And Summit Parkway at Hardscrabble Road, there is a disaster.
Oh yes, I want to show you this. Did everybody see the Xavier Hutchinson taunting call that was called that? That was a touchdown reversed.
Which game?
It's Iowa State.
Sunny skies, 74 high. It's 68 right now, 175 the game. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer. Festival, football, late outdoors.
Falcons will play about 2.5, 1 by 2.
Best time of the year. It may also
Find this video real quick.
consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech. Oh, keep your fingers crossed.
Takes care of that issue.
All right, I want to show you this play. Wait, where'd it go? All right, here we go. This is the play. That was all he did, and they were this play right here.
I'm
Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
What'd they call?
They called unsportsmanlike conduct.
Because he looked back?
Because he looked backwards or stuck his foot. That touchdown was called back. It's one of the most egregious.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that has to be part of the culture.
That was it?
That was it, yeah. That was one of the most egregious things I've ever seen called in a football game.
Who would want to look back and see if anybody's close to him?
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, he kicked his foot up but he didn't high step or anything. It was. Yeah, that thing for sure made waves on Twitter because.
I bet. Spills and messes quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand.
Yeah, I mean that's a ref trying to insert himself and make himself the star of the show, and I'll say him there, but that ref should be suspended.
Just getting started for season 2. With Origin stories from Aaron Andrews, Joe Buck, and Michaels. Your best Wide World of Sports assignment.
And I'll have a midday with me Tommy trivia segment in the third hour.
Okay.
Maybe when we get around quarter till or whatever.
Okay.
With spikes coming out of the tires. That's how they got the traction. And they
Ain't got football in this state through history.
while Bavarians. They would
Couple
start
highlights
at
there.
about 8 o'clock, but the tailgating would be starting.
We can do it in this hour. I mean, if we're gonna
Timing wise, whatever you think's best.
it depends if we want to leave the 8 o'clock hour in case David decides to come on.
Or he's not.
He's not.
Sorry, let me know.
I mean, we have a good amount of time. We'll see how long this segment goes.
Perfect game by the Yankees. Don Watson in 1956 against the Brooklyn Dodgers. Game 5 at Yankee Stadium. Series tied at 2 games apiece after Brooklyn took the first 2 at Emmett Field. 2 outs, last of the night. Yankees ahead 2-0. Here's the radio voice of Bob Wolf.
The commercials are not on the live stream right now, are they? What are you talking about? He's running by himself. Did you see the play? There was no ref near him. There's no way he said anything that could have been heard. Yeah, I can kill the commercials. I got you, Craig.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Download the TuneIn app so you can take 1075 The Game with you wherever you go. And now, back to the early game on 1075 The Game.
803-404-6100. That is the number to the Love Chevrolet phone lines and the Cool Care Heating and Air text lines. You can join us on the live stream sponsored by Buford Lending, where we did discuss this for a brief minute earlier, but I did want to ask you, Tommy, personal question. Time to get personal. When is it okay to start playing Christmas music?
I'm glad you asked. I love Christmas music.
But I like Christmas music after Thanksgiving. Let's don't jump the gun as far as playing great Christmas songs, because I've got I don't know, 35 or 40 all-time favorite Christmas songs, that I can kind of change with the day as far as, that's my all-time favorite song. But I love Christmas music, but I'm not ready for it until December.
There's too many Christmas songs and too much Christmas music to limit it to 28 days. And I was listening to a lot of it this weekend, and I was listening to Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And, by the way, Trans-Siberian Orchestra is coming back to Columbia on Wednesday, December 8th at the Colonial Life Arena. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity that aims to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Tickets are on sale now, and yes, I will be there, and I don't like Halloween. Even though it's Halloween week, I will not be dressing up this weekend. I will be heading to Nashville for the bye week, and I will not be dressing up. So I am already moving past that into Thanksgiving mode.
Well, I'm going to scare a few people come Friday. I'm going to tell you that.
Oh. Are you a Halloween guy? Big Halloween guy?
Not a big Halloween guy, but I've just got a fantastic mask I love to wear.
Oh.
I like that.
Awesome.
Did you hear Mike Leach's Halloween breakdown?
No.
Maybe we'll play that tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll send it to Jen on Twitter.
Yeah,
His post game was actually just filled with candy talk.
Well, I did
Yeah.
see that, and I was going to go back and watch. So I'm glad you reminded me. I'll pull that.
South Carolina's own Alyssa Lang asking the important questions on the SEC Network broadcast after that just showed how bad of a beatdown it was. And I mean, geez, I guess the only thing worse than being a South Carolina fan right now is being a Vanderbilt fan. But I mean, goodness gracious. However,
and in fairness, going back to that Vanderbilt game, and I talked about the stats that Mississippi State ran up over the weekend against Vandy, being 522 to 155 in yardage. Yeah. In fairness, of course, it's part of the game. Turnovers are part of the game. South Carolina does not turn the ball over. Gamecocks probably get 600 yards in that game.
Yeah. Yep. But look, South Carolina wasn't the only team that played this weekend. And like we said, we just teased in the last segment. It was actually a pretty awesome college football week.
Till, Saturday night.
Yeah. I don't know if that's better. I mean, 3 weeks ago when we had top 10 ranked matchup over top 15 ranked matchup, all sorts of ranked matchups, and it just completely did not live up to expectations. It was all blowouts. This week, there was really no games of note, no top 25 matchups,
but some
the
teams
underdogs
made it of note.
came up from out of nowhere. And that is more fun when you're not expecting anything and you get great games. And I mean, I don't even know where to start, but I guess the obvious one is the technically longest game in college football history. No game's ever gone to nine overtimes. I think 6 have gone to 7. However, those 7 overtimes were in the old rules. And I don't know if a college football game has gone to the new overtime rules yet, but certainly not a high profile one, not one that I've watched.
And not one that went 9 overtimes.
9. Yeah,
I mean, that
exactly.
was insane.
It was wild and still cleared the under by a touchdown. It was
crazy.
20-18 and 9 overtimes. And before we even get to the overtimes, Illinois kind of got screwed because they did score 2 touchdowns that would have made it 14-10. And they both got called back for penalties, which were ridiculous calls. So they actually should have won the game in regulation, but this was our chance to see the new overtime rules in effect. You play 2 regular periods, and after that, it's just back-to-back 2-point conversions.
I didn't like it. I did not like it one bit. I loved watching the game itself because of the drama involved. A lot of folks talking about Penn State trying to get back into the playoff hunt, which was, I guess, was possible until they lost 20-18 to Illinois. But Illinois, 357 yards rushing against that Penn State defense, 395 yards overall. Penn State, in a 9 overtime game, had a grand total of 227 yards. I know Clifford, the quarterback's been banged up. He was kind of hobbling around out there. But at the same time, you don't expect Illinois at 2-5 to come in and do that to Penn State and State College.
No, and what was cool was also their quarterback. Well, I guess it wasn't cool for him, but Arthur Sitkowski, I think that was his first name, got really turned upside down, rolling out to try and find somebody in the back of the end zone, landed on his left arm. I don't know if it was a left wrist or a left forearm, but he got up holding it, and they needed to pull in the backup quarterback. This might have been in overtime 6 or 7, and Brandon Peters, the Michigan transfer who started the season as the starter for Illinois, got benched because he was not playing very well, but comes in and wins it in overtime. And it really was wild because they're just trading field goals in the first 2 normal overtimes. And then we go to the 2-point conversions, and I think it's 6 straight stops on each team.
I think it
so
was,
10 to 12 straight consecutive stops. And then Illinois scores. And of course, Penn State answers right away. And then Penn State, they flip it. And then Penn State doesn't score and Illinois ends it. So it was weird how they're just continuously flipping the field and then rotating who goes first.
And I think it defeats the whole purpose, though, of what the rule was designed for. So we won't have all these long games dragged out by the 25-yard, overtime session for each team. But boy, when you don't make it, then you have another stoppage of play. Just so much choppiness in that overtime period. But I think the normal overtime rules, I don't have a problem going for 2 after you score after the second overtime. But to go for a 2-point conversion and see that many just stop.
The first time I heard it.
And then start.
Yeah.
Stop. And then, but, you've got continuous action when you have an overtime period from 25 yards.
I don't know how to fix it. The first time I heard it, that's what I thought they were saying is if you score a touchdown, you have to go for 2. And then I found out later, oh, no, you actually just have to do 2-point conversion after 2-point conversion after 2-point conversion. I don't know what would fix it because it's also when you just put the ball and you start your possessions in field goal range and you continuously trade field goals in overtime, that also is not fun to watch. So I don't know what the fix is. Is it just switch to NFL style overtime? You just kick the ball off, or you play out a full 10 or 15 minute period, and whoever wins the game wins the game?
I would like to see a 10-minute period in college football in overtime, and maybe the same type rules but not if the first team scores a touchdown. Yeah, I think each team should at least have the ball once. And I just think that'd be a lot more fun than what they're doing right now.
I mean, should you introduce the possibility of a tie in college football?
If you don't score in 10 minutes, yeah.
I wonder how people would feel about that. 803-404-6100. Did you watch that game and did you enjoy it? Because I was actually on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Me too.
For just keeping the game interesting. I mean, you couldn't look away for a second. I don't even think there was a commercial break when overtime was going on. There really wasn't. So it was just nonstop edge of your seat action. So from that standpoint, it worked out. But is it a fair way to settle a football game? I don't know that it necessarily decides who's the better team. It's just who's got a better 2-point play. And there were tons of drops too. I mean, there were probably 5 drops in the end zone in that period. Sean Clifford dropped one there were 2 Philly specials in overtime. The double reverse throw to the quarterback, 2 of those in overtime. And I mean, it was interesting, but did you like it? Do you like the rule? If you don't like the rule, what would be a solid fix other than just going back to the old college rules And that is super interesting. Should there be a possibility of a tie in college football? That would change so much. I mean, tiebreakers. There's a lot of tiebreakers. It'll be pretty wild to see a team go like 10-1-1.
Yeah,
I would be very fascinated by that. And I don't necessarily hate ties. I mean, I think as American sports fans, we just resent the idea of a tie. You can I think you can only tie in the NFL.
That changed in like 95 or 96, I believe, when the overtime started. I remember Georgia and Auburn over in Auburn had a tremendous overtime game right at the beginning of that process there when that rule came into effect. But happy for Brett Bielema for what he did with that Illinois program.
Former SEC coaches
from
right there.
SEC and also Big Ten coach and really specializes on the line of scrimmage with his linemen there. But it was one of those things where I started watching late in the third quarter. I'm thinking, this is kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden it looked like, the way Illinois is running the football. I need to text my buddy, Andrew Kiddick, former Gamecock baseball SID for many, many years, or about 16, 17 years there. And Andrew left about 3 or 4 years ago to go back home and be with family. And he's working up in Chicago now, but he was on the edge of his seat, as you can imagine, being an Illinois graduate. So we texted a bunch during that whole overtime period and no disrespect to Penn State. I don't have a problem with them, but I was just glad to see the underdog do that in historic fashion.
Yeah. And I mean, that was what was really cool about the noon slate. There were underdogs all over the place on the verge of upsetting top 10 teams. We're going to get into that as we keep going here because we did just get to the 2-point conversion talk, and we have lots of thoughts coming in about that. We will touch back on those, but Cincinnati playing a close one to Navy, Kansas nearly beat Oklahoma, and we'll get into a call in that game that probably should have been made and given Kansas a chance to win the game. And then I just showed Tommy, if you saw on the live stream during the break
Oh
here,
my gosh.
I'm pretty willing to call it the worst call I've seen in college football this season. And I legitimately think that the ref should be suspended for this because he's trying to make it all about himself. So that is a problem. Refs trying to make it all about themselves. So look, there was three top 10 teams almost went down in the noon slate, and then the late slate, Iowa State beats number 8 Oklahoma State. So top 10 teams went down all over the place or faced elimination all over the place. A couple of them survived, and because of that, the poor performances of the top 10 teams, Alabama's now back at number 3, and the SEC's got 2 of the top 3 teams in the country. And it seems like if Georgia and Alabama went out, they're both going to find themselves in the college football playoff pretty much no matter what happens in the SEC championship.
Yep. SEC 6 of the top 18 teams, and I think Auburn's the lowest ranked team at 18th, but that's a lot. That's 1/3 of the top 18. That's another strong year for the conference.
Yeah. So, we really don't have the juggernauts that we're used to seeing. And now that we have 1-loss teams in the top 3, Cincinnati holds on to number 2. And I'm just going to be so interested to see how this plays out. Can Cincinnati actually make it to the college football playoff? Because they can do everything. They can handle their business. They can go undefeated and potentially still not make the college football playoff. So we're going to come back and we're going to discuss the other noon slate games. There were a lot to talk about. Couple bad decisions to talk about. So 803-446-100 if you have any thoughts. Left share of the phone line, Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We'll be right back here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
More of the early game coming up on 107.5 The Game.
It's that time of year.
I'm just gonna disagree. I think it's easy to not make that call. There was no one near him, and the ref was putting on a show. I really don't know because it was the home team, right? Iowa State was at home, and they got that call called against them. It was just crazy. And yes, this is why he should be suspended. They put an emphasis on taunting, but if you think that's taunting, then your method of evaluating subjective plays is incorrect, and that ref should not be officiating Power 5 games. 2-point conversion, no ties. We don't like ties. Go back to the old rules. First and goal at the 10, no kicking allowed. Okay. Have to go for 2 touchdowns. I actually kind of like that. First and goal from the 10 with no kicks and 2-point conversions mandatory.
Call 0 res right now to be one of those 40, 20. You can look online at Right now, you can re-roof your carpet clean for only $119. You mentioned my name. Hallway clean for free. $55 of total savings. Again, right now, re-roof on the clean for only $119. Will Gunners, 175 savings. You'll get their hallway clean for free. And that is $75 of total savings. 803-262-4020 or online ZeroResColumbia.com. Spell it backwards or forward the right way.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. Shepherd'sGlass.com. I-20 eastbound at exit 55 in that vicinity, there is a slowdown there. Be cautious. Yeah, you found vendors this morning. Also, I-77 northbound at Lightwood Road, an accident. I-20 eastbound at I-77, there's a slowdown there. And Louis Road at Cedar Grove Road in Lexington, there is an accident to watch out for. Might see some showers or storms today, 82 high, and a little bit cooler tomorrow with the sun back out. 74 for the high. Right now it's cloudy and 66 at 107.5 the game.
After being almost $500,000 in tax debt, I was listening to the radio one day and heard an ad for Jonathan Law Firm. So I gave him a call and met with him. And
I do wonder if college football is gonna
trust him after.
Can they give it just 1 year and then say, yeah, we're changing the rules back. We don't like this.
I hope they do.
I don't know if that's
I think
possible.
this one's supposed to child for that already in the season.
John's help. I have no tax debt now, and I was able to have a family that.
Did you watch the whole Clemson game?
No, just parts of it. I had met somebody down at the fair for about an hour or so and just kept checking on my phone.
Did you see the late hit Dale Inspector had on that Pittsburgh running back? Did anyone on the live stream see that? It was fun if you do it on Twitter. It's like one of the latest and dirtiest hits I've seen all season. I wonder if there was an explanation for that. If there's any Clemson fans watching and want to explain to me what happened, it was brutal. You spelled Dale Inspector. That's one thing that we're probably not going to get into on the show, but I am interested to see if anybody else saw that. I was shocked how little it was.
Always call or click 811 before any excavating project.
So the ball hits the ground.
South Carolina 811 SCBA and
It comes in like a good 3 seconds after.
Did you throw him out for targeting?
No.
Yourself a DQ on Thursday, October 28th.
I mean, the ball's rolled 3 times. It was pretty crazy. So they called it initially late hit and targeting, and then they reviewed it, and he dropped his shoulder. So they overruled the targeting, but kept the late hit.
Yeah.
It's like how
that looked like
it was so beyond late.
When in the game was it?
Good question. It was early. It was fairly early, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I might be wrong about that.
7-0 lead at one time, didn't it?
Yeah, and they should have had a 14-0 lead because Will Shipley. Yeah.
Oh, he dropped a touchdown pass right.
So I get confused because there's 2. Yeah, he dropped a bomb that hit him basically in the chest. Yeah, this is second quarter with 2 minutes left.
Your closet will scream, so you, without actually screaming. Introducing Stitch Fix Freestyle for women and men, your personalized store. We're so you.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919.
Yeah, I don't know if is there a level to which a hit is so late that you can eject a person for it? I would think that should be a subjective thing for the referees.
To me, that's a clear intent.
Yeah.
To hurt somebody.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I haven't seen many like that up in the head level.
If you own or you're in charge of a large building,
Yeah, how about
facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention.
how about there's something short. How about number 4?
Satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Midstate has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them Midstate 20.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
And now, back to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Game plan wise, I thought it was good going into it. I mean, I thought we had a great plan, and it obviously didn't go quite like we thought. So we performed like we did in the first half, offensively, defensively, and special teams. We got to look at the plan at everything, and when you give up, when you have the defense out there for 40 plays in the first half, they were 4 of 6 on third down. Texas A&M was in the first half. We got to get our butts off the field ourselves on defense, and offensively, when you're 0 for 6 and you only run 21 plays,
call for it.
You're obviously the plan and coaching and execution wasn't very good, and it's got to be better.
Shane Beamer, Saturday night post-game press conference, talking about the game plan, the play calling, which, as is very fair, a lot of Gamecock fans are commenting about. Here's a longer text from B from Columbia, but I think pretty fair. It's 3 parts. So buckle in. 1, I miss Bobo. Would take him every day of the week. I would take Roper over Satterfield. 2, my issue is not with play calling. Play calling's been bad at times, but there's also been some sparks where the play calling is decent. My issue is that the players do not seem to understand what they're doing in that scheme. There still seems to be confusion, and part of execution is understanding and knowing the system and your responsibility.
That's fair.
If the scheme's too complicated, then of course you're not going to be able to execute. That's on the OC. Kentucky and Tennessee installed brand new offenses with brand new offensive staffs. They seem to be doing just fine. Again, you can't say that the issue has to be fixed. If we had some better blocking might cover up some of the issues, but clearly there's an issue with the coaching and the overall offensive scheme. That is on the OC. And I think that's very fair. You look at Tennessee right now. Tennessee is not a much more talented team than South Carolina. If they're more talented at all. They lost 40 players.
Saying going into the season that how in the world are they going to win a couple of ball games losing that many players?
And here they are.
They certainly found a good transfer quarterback, I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Really playing well.
Who wasn't very good at Virginia Tech either. So, I mean, look, you look at Virginia Tech and Justin Fuente, what's happening over there. He's going to probably lose his job this year. But maybe that's the difference between what a great staff can do. And I know Justin Fuente is a defensive guy, but it all falls back on the coach, just like this does too. And there are people giving Beamer some heat about this. At the end of the day, Kentucky, Tennessee, not much more talented. They bring in new quarterbacks just like South Carolina did. Yes, their quarterbacks came from Power 5 schools. They're legitimately good players, but they're not so good that Tennessee made it interesting against Alabama for large portions of the game. And South Carolina is sitting here giving up 44 points in 3 quarters and gaining 15 yards total through the game. So, look, there's going to be questions all year about Marcus Satterfield, and Shane Beamer obviously is very close to him. But I want to play another clip of maybe his most frustrated that he got or shortest that he got in the post-game press conference with Hale McGranahan.
Defensive almost.
Yeah, defensive for sure. And the questions aren't going to stop unless this thing turns around. But here's Shane Beamer, Hale McGranahan asking the questions, Shane Beamer, about the offensive staff.
Shane, when you mentioned evaluating everything, does that include the coaching staff and how responsibilities are?
Yeah, we evaluate every single week, Hale. We sit down and we talk about everything that we do as a staff, good, bad, what we can be better, mistakes we made. We do that after every single game, and tonight's no different.
So,
and that's fair too.
Yeah,
that's about as good an answer as I could think of right there. But me personally, this is just me. I don't have a problem other than a few times decision whether to go for it or kick a field goal or whatever in those situations. But as far as play calling per se on a continuous basis throughout the game, I've seen so many plays that looked like they were open. They had the defense fooled over the course of this season, but just bad execution or somebody misses a block. And I think from that standpoint, I don't have a problem with what Marcus Satterfield's doing.
Here's actually an interesting text from an anonymous texter. The most frustrating thing about Saturday was watching Zeb Noland. He actually called him Zoland in that text. Should we start calling Zeb Zoland? I kind of like that. I kind of like that nickname. Take a 5-step drop in a shotgun formation. The whole point of shotgun is to not have to drop back. When you do that, you make it easy for the defensive end to rush straight up the field and make it difficult on the tackles. The pressure is immediate, and there's no time to do anything. Why can I see that and the coaches can't? I'm actually bookmarking this question for Perry Orth tomorrow because he played quarterback and he knows. I don't know. That the logic there is sound. I really don't understand it either. And you know what? The pressure was there every single time with 4-man rushes. And one of the most frustrating things was, I think, on the third or fourth drive after Zeb got knocked out. It's a third down play. He takes steps back and throws the ball fading away when Texas A&M rushes 3 men. There's absolutely no pressure, a completely clean pocket, and he's still just falling backwards as he makes the throw. That just has to be mental. It has to be they're getting pressure on every single play. There's nothing I can do here. I got to be on the run and on the move every time I make a play.
Taking so many shots.
Yeah.
You got to have that in the forefront of your mind.
You know what? He's a tough son of a gun for playing after getting maybe knocked out. We don't know. Jury's out on that, but it certainly looked bad. But he was clearly playing. I don't want to say he was playing scared. That might be a little harsh. But he was under pressure the whole time, and it was getting to him mentally, clearly. So, look, it is what it is. We're going to probably talk more tomorrow about what you want to see in the Florida game. I assume they're off today. I'm actually not 100% sure what the schedule looks like. I don't know what a bye week. I assume you get an extra couple days off. When they get back to practicing, will they... And what will Shane Beamer say tomorrow? We're going to talk about that too. Will Jason Brown be the starter going into Florida week? I think if you took a poll of the fans right now...
Legitimate question.
Yeah. I think I'll actually probably put that on a poll question tomorrow morning. Who do you want to see under center on Florida November 6th? Is it going to be Jason Brown? Is it going to be Zeb Nolan? It's very fair. So, look, we'll keep discussing this. Lot of conversation left to be had, and keep sending us your takes. 803-404-6100. We see on the left Chevrolet phone lines. We see all your texts on the text lines. I'm copy and pasting them into a Word document so I can have them organized for you. Try to get them all in, as many as we can, but they're coming in fast and furious right now. So, look, we'll continue with your takes. You're steering the show today, and we'll be right back here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Dan Patrick. Weekdays, 9 until noon. On 107.5 The Game.
I get a little sore. I give Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper, Casey Chiropractic a phone call. 803.
Yeah, he was getting testy. Zolander. I like that too. Unfortunately, it might be a little late to start giving him nicknames if Jason Brown's going to take over starting duties.
And he's the guy that looks more comfortable than any of them out there.
Yep.
He's a redshirt senior.
Yeah. Is that so? He's out of eligibility. We were actually trying to figure this out. How many years of eligibility has he saved?
Now that could be just according to the structure of the years and graduation and everything. But as far as the year he gets back, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah,
from last year. But he is listed as a redshirt senior.
Or else he's eligible next year as well. I mean, there must be a red shirt. There is a red shirt year in there. There must be an injury or a COVID year or something. I mean, he didn't play last year, so I really don't know. He came in with 2 to play.
Yeah, you wonder how can he be listed as a redshirt senior when he's never had time to redshirt.
Right. Why do we wait until late in the third quarter to start moving the pocket? That's when we start getting open looks downfield and the run game started to look better. Well, I don't know why. I don't know the answer to why, but I think the run game started to look better because Zaquandre White was in there. And Zaquandre White was making guys miss. He was the only person really making
some passes and opening things up that way.
And also, I did timestamp the point where Texas A&M put the backups in, and that was about the 12-minute mark in the fourth quarter. They started putting in the backups, so that does have something to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
I-20 eastbound at I-77.
Thank you, Hope.
I-20 eastbound.
But going back and looking at
It's different running the show.
As in his
northbound at Blythewood
high school and college days was time at St. Francis. He rushed for a lot of yards, which I had not taken the tail of that. I thought he was immobile as a quarterback, just like Zeb is, but that's not the case.
He must have slimmed. I heard they've said actually he slimmed down quite a bit because he was not moving well in the spring game. And when you look at his St. Francis tape, he doesn't move. He doesn't run. They must have gotten him in that like strength and the conditioning program, and it really like transformed his body.
Yeah, in high school, I'm doing it. Yeah, dynamic stats, passing and running.
Like Bruce Hardwood, Smart Core, Story Tile. Order now. Only at Lowe's.
Wouldn't that have been something if the Lions had
pulled that off? Yeah, I wish.
Ready to get your home insanely clean for fall? Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet for $189.
Agreed.
Plus, when you mention Bill Gunner,
And I think there's just levels to pro style offense, like what that truly means. Because professional offenses are evolving to the college style now as well. So I don't know where that leaves us. Whatever is happening right now is not working out. People are crazy. Ron is not motivated.
Right now, visit Herndon Chevrolet online at herndonchevy.com.
I agree they played against NM's scout team, and I don't necessarily disagree about Gauthier because he actually has years to play, but maybe we see him now that there's 4 games left and he can play every game and still redshirt. But look, people were saying that Doty was the problem and Nolan needed to come in. I said that's probably not going to be the case. Nobody's going to look good right now, and that probably holds true. Jason Brown's not going to be put in a position to succeed any more than Zeb Noland was, and he's not a generational talent that's going to perform no matter who is blocking for him and who's catching the balls. I guess kind of harsh, but why does it matter at this point?
New ideas like the top hat and the gospel may seem
I almost feel like you just put in the youngest guy no matter what.
This might catch on. This is Stephen Chitty. Remember, life matters, and so do you. In-person and live streaming service times. If you're hearing this ad, then you're experiencing the power of radio. What most effective and affordable ways to market your business? Have you been considering digital marketing? We can help. C-Suite, powered by Cumulus Digital, helps customers find you. From SEO, behavioral targeting, to social media management, native ads, and website development. We get you heard, seen, and discovered. Visit 1075thegame.com and click on the Advertisement Us link. This update is sponsored by AAA Heating and Air, home of the $1,500 buyback. If your house is in need of a new heating and air unit, call AAA Heating and Air today for 0% financing, no money down, plus a $1,500 savings. Call today and get a new unit tomorrow. 677-1500.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. And now, back to the early game on 1075 The Game.
Eight 404-6100 is the number to the show. You can catch us on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, which is packed right now. I'm going to try and get as many texts in as I can, but we are slammed right now. You can also call us 803-404-6100 on the left Chevy phone lines, which we're going to go out to right now. And Jeff has some comments on the offense, or lack thereof, I suppose. Jeff, how you doing?
Jack's on point there.
call over and over. And that to me falls on head coach and OC and anybody associated with the offense. And if they want to get this fan base back, Beamer is going to have to make a tough decision. And maybe he might be a Richard Bell. Maybe he'll go down with his staff. But he needs to figure out what's more important right now. And he needs to get this fan base back. And he needs to quit blaming the players and to blame the players this, the players that, blah, blah, blah. You need to take accountability for your lack of offense, and you need to put it. You can handle it professionally in the media, but you need to quit putting it on the players and the fans.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
I find it hard to disagree with a lot of what he said. I don't think Beamer's blaming the players. I think he's standing up for his guys in the post-game press conference. But I mean. Apart from everything that they did
the coaches countless times.
They threw to Saquandre White in the second half a couple times on those swing passes. Saquandre White's the only person that's actually making anything of those quick hitters, those screen passes to the flat.
Looked for by A&M. They were expecting everything South Carolina did from a running back receiving standpoint.
Yeah, but look, Jeff, that's a good call. Everything else was very fair. Your playmakers are not making plays. You're not putting them in positions to be successful right now. Nothing is working right now, and something's going to have to change. I don't know what it is. 803-404-6100.
Boy, the text line is swamped.
Oh, it is. And we're going to get to those in the next hour. Keep it right here on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live.
Local Radio 107.5 The Game. WNKT-FM, East Silver, Columbia. Wireless media station.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OT.
Probably. What time did the Braves game start in relative to the South Carolina game? Like, how far into it? What was the score? Because that was probably a good move.
2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to Prilosec OT.
And how many of you watched the whole game?
Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec.
You're a good fan if you stuck in through 4 quarters, and I don't blame you for a second if you turned that thing off early.
Pro football season's here, and pro roofers save valuable time with Beacon Pro Plus. Beacon Pro Plus works 24/7 for material ordering, order history, and automated promotion tracking, so you can get your favorite GAF roofing products even when working remotely. And now, order on Beacon Pro Plus and get a $175 gift card and a chance for a VIP Pro Football getaway. Gear up and raise your game with Beacon Pro Plus today. Build, score, and win at BECN.com.
Experience the best golf the Low Country has to offer at Fripp Island Golf and Beach Resort. Both of our 18-hole championship golf courses offer stunning natural beauty and challenging play. Golf at either Ocean Creek, featuring the Great Salt Marsh, or Ocean Point, showcasing 10 holes along the Atlantic. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff.
Braves.
Custom stay and play
Braves started at 8:08. Okay, 21-0. Yeah, I mean, at that point. What is the score where you realized there's no coming back from this? I mean, it doesn't take long with this offense. You know they can't score points. This team's not equipped to come back. But how many points was it like, okay, we have no chance now? Was it the first drive where Texas A&M the first drive where first drive was an interception. Second drive, they just ripped through us for 90 yards. I think that right there is the definition of apathy. That is where a lot of people are.
Listen carefully. Now there are new treatments available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Genetics. Genetics is a leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joint with lasting results. If you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself. No downtime, no drugs, no surgery. Call now to schedule your free consultation. 803-281-6860. You're tired of dealing with joint pain and want to get better again?
14-0, 21-0, and then we got 7-0. After the punt return, I was out. You knew it was over before the Texas A&M offense had gotten on the field. The interception didn't at least make you feel like, maybe we can do something here.
Some help with some tax problems that we had. Yeah. We officially owed
Yeah,
about
agreed.
$300,000, and John Exton and his law
In college
firm
basketball,
ended up getting
coming
us
soon.
an offer and compromise, which dramatically reduced the amount owed. I would personally recommend the Exton Law Firm. They did an excellent job for us, and if this is a concern that you're facing, they're definitely people you should call.
Great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Exton with the Exton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years left without tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to ExtonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. We'll be glad you did.
It's time for a shot to win $100 and get the chance to win $25,000. Here's the 25K Workday Payday National Keyword.
Yeah, and the women's basketball team also picked up a big recruit on Saturday, I guess, right before the game or, in between the noon slate and Talasia Cooper from –
I didn't hear that.
She's the number 18 player in the country.
Uh-huh.
From East Clarendon.
Oh, gosh.
Where is East Clarendon?
It's over in Turbyville, South Carolina.
How far is that from here?
It's about 20 miles on the other side of Sumter going towards the beach that way.
Like an hour and
370.
Hour and some change.
Yeah, about an hour.
Nice. I don't know my South Carolina geography well enough. I know Columbia. So yeah,
In fact, it used to be a landmark.
Clarendon?
The restaurant's still there, but before the interstates, back when I was a lot younger. You stopped in Tuberville on the way to the beach. There's a place called the Chat and Chew. You get a cup of coffee and a biscuit or something like that, or a meal. And it's still there. Can't believe it. Turbyville, South Carolina. That's where East Clarendon High School.
Very fair.
You think it's too late for Manny Diaz at Miami?
I don't know.
They got a big win.
It is a good question. I guess they just really need to. I'm sure they're talking backdoor to people. Who can they really get?
Yeah.
At this point, it's really hard to say.
Well, it used to be a high profile job. It's getting more farther and farther away from that.
I didn't listen to the LSU Ole Miss game. I had the volume on the Clemson game at the same time, but I am curious to see if like a large part of that discussion had to do with Lane Kiffin being the odds-on favorite to be the next LSU coach whilst playing LSU and beating down LSU with Arch Manning in the building. There's a lot of interesting things going on. I'd be interested to hear what Ole Miss fans are thinking. They're probably thinking, hey, if we keep Arch Manning, then we also keep Lane Kiffin. If Arch Manning goes to Georgia or something like that, then Lane Kiffin's going to leave as well. And
Well, I'll never forget when Peyton decided to go to Tennessee. Oh, boy. That was a shock state over there.
did everyone just assume he was going to Ole Miss?
Luck Chevy certified pre-owned one, of course. See why today at Luck Chevrolet, I-26 and Harvest, who knows in Frankie's Fun Club.
And it's hard to say he didn't make the right decision.
Oh, yeah.
I think he did.
Welcome to the early game.
I mean, when you have a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
With Bill Gunther and Patrick.
They beat us up there one day, 55-3.
The coffee is brewed, the donuts are fresh.
Can we just open up with number 5?
On 107.5, the game.
And perform like we did tonight, you got to evaluate everything. And I'll get on this plane and then turn on the iPad and watch every play till we land in Columbia and figure out a way to be better. But it's easy to point to the offensive line. We didn't play great. I don't think you didn't play great anywhere. Receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end, offensive line, coaching. I would say that we all had a hand in it. We're 8 games in, so I think we've got a pretty good idea of what we are and where we are offensively, defensively, and special teams. And let's figure out, how to maximize the potential of this team and be the very best we can be here the rest of the season.
Shane Beamer, as we open up hour 3, final hour of Monday morning therapy. Tommy Moody.
And in fairness to Shane, there's really not any good answers after a game like that.
There really is.
The way the season's kind of gone from an offensive line standpoint, especially it's hard to know what the offense would be doing, without just doing the basics.
It's when the problems are up front and that affects everything else. It's so hard to evaluate everyone else. It really, really is. And
there's an old cigarette commercial from when I was a little boy. It's what's up front that counts. And boy, that just is so apropos when it comes to college football.
How does that relate to cigarettes?
Because it was the way the filter was on the cigarette was positioned, and the length of the cigarette and all this kind of stuff. But
don't see those commercials anymore, do you?
See, we wouldn't get that insight with Bill here.
No, not even close.
Bill would have never gotten that reference. He'd be just on a gas bag of hot take right now.
Yeah, and we would have all checked out, in a puff of smoke.
Radio dials will be turning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you and I were discussing off the air the Miami situation, and Manny Diaz is his job any more secure after a mild upset of NC State. NC State had a lot to play for. That's a big loss. They lost 31-30. They're now 5-2. Miami improves to 3-4. But you talk about the most even football game statistically you can ever have without a tie game. Miami wins the game by 1 point, 31-30. Total yards, NC State 421, Miami 420. Turnovers, 0 apiece. First downs, 18 apiece. And again, the final score, 31-30.
That's insane.
That had to be a fun one to watch, but I know NC State was kind of licking their wounds after that one because they had a great opportunity there to go to an even better record. They've had a good year, but that's going to hurt them as far as down the road and some of the bowl implications.
What broke the tie there? Did somebody miss an extra point? I mean, was this 4 touchdowns?
I didn't track the game.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at the
watch
scoring.
it, or didn't track it and read about the scoring progression during the game. But boy, I just I'm a numbers kind of guy, and when I always list these scores from the previous Saturday, or a lot of times on Saturday night, I'll do this. I'll put the total offense and the turnovers, and then you see something like that, and then you go a little deeper. What else was near even? Well, each team had 18 first downs. Only 1 point, only 1 yard difference, and it was one of those incredible statistical games that, unfortunately for the Wolfpack, they've had a good year, but they kind of let one get away there.
Yep. Well, let's keep it on the national college football subject real quick, and we will get back to the Gamecocks. Of course, we know you need your Monday morning therapy. We know you're upset. We got lots of texts to get to. You can still call us 803-404-6100. But we did discuss in the last hour one of the crazier games you're going to see, a 9 overtime game between Penn State and Illinois, where Illinois upsets number 7, I think, Penn State. Just crazy. 2-point conversion, 7 consecutive 2-point conversions with the new college football overtime rule that seem to be pretty well hated, I think would be a fair way to say it. I don't think anyone has come back and said we really enjoyed it because it's college football and it's a close game, but no one's come back and said, yeah, that's a good way to settle a college football game.
I don't like that system at all. And what about these numbers now? You got Illinois with a team that was 2-5 going to play Penn State, a team that was 5-1 and trying to get back on the playoff track, at least get back on the radar. And Illinois goes in and outgains them. They outgain them 395-227. But here's the thing. You go to Penn State and you turn the ball over 3 times and Penn State doesn't turn the ball over. From a blocking and tackling standpoint, that just illustrates what Brett Bielema's team at Illinois did to Penn State.
We got one. Trey on the live stream sponsored by Beeford Lending, says the penalty kick OT format was awesome. I love it. There's one. And, I don't think it necessarily deserves all the hate that it's getting because I was thoroughly entertained the whole time. And we did get some suggestions, suggestions that I liked. Mac on the live stream suggested instead of 2-point conversions, just give it 1st and goal from the 10-yard line. You can't kick a field goal, and you have to go for 2 if you score the touchdown.
Yeah, I like that.
Most games are going to be settled in 1 overtime, I think, if you do that. You're shrinking the field, you're making it hard to score, and you're eliminating the possibility of just run, kick. Okay, so if it eliminates the also possibility of if you go first on offense and I kick a field goal, then I'm going to play more conservative potentially, or I'm not going to go for it on 4th down because I know all I have to do is kick a field goal. It eliminates a little bit of that advantage. Actually, it eliminates almost all the advantage of deciding to go first or or go second instead of first, because there's decisions to be made. So I actually do like that. And somebody also said,
I like that too.
Yeah, just start at the 40, because then technically you're in field goal range, but your kicker's got to have a huge leg to knock down a 57-yarder. So it actually makes the kick more challenging. So a couple good suggestions for the overtime rules.
And it kind of defeats the whole purpose of why they put the rule in there, because you don't make a 2-pointer.
Right.
So
They
you
keep
stop
playing.
again. It's so choppy. You stop. You can run to the refrigerator, or the fans can run, because there's going to be a couple minutes before you get going again. And then I guess it was out of the ordinary, and I'm sure it's out of the ordinary for the future for this many consecutive 2-point conversions to fail. But it's just way too choppy for me. I'd much rather see a 10-minute, just like NFL, except automatically both teams do get one crack at it.
Right.
Instead of the NFL, if the first team scores a touchdown, it's over.
I was going to say it was uncommon, because that's been the analytic debate in the NFL. It came up last weekend with, I think, the Eagles being down 14 and going for 2 and ruining the 6.5-point spread for some people. They were upset about it, but that's the new analytic model, is going for 2 more often, and especially going for 2 when you're down by 2 touchdowns. And the rationale is because the 2-point conversion success rate is over 50%. So if you get 2 scores and you have an over 50% success rate on 2-point conversions, you're expected to at least get one of them. And if you convert the first one, then all you got to do is kick an extra point to win the game.
And now, even though a lot of people would still consider it a chip shot for the extra point, it's not what it used to be.
It's not.
You see several missed every week.
Usually, yeah, every week there's going to be a miss. And so maybe the college football success rate for 2-point conversions is a little bit different, but that Penn State-Illinois game really made people reevaluate that. But that was not the only interesting game. And I think the highlight of some of the other games was the officiating. So there's 2 in particular, and that would be the Iowa State and Oklahoma State game, and also the what was the other game that we were talking about? The Kansas-Oklahoma game. Kansas-Oklahoma game. So let's start there. Kansas-Oklahoma. Kansas is beating Oklahoma for a majority of the game. Really a bizarre game. And did you happen to see the email blast that was sent from the Kansas athletic department?
No.
So you don't have to buy a ticket to go to a Kansas game anymore. You can just show up.
In?
Yeah. So in the middle of the game, they sent out an email to the student body saying Kansas is beating number 6 Oklahoma or number 5 Oklahoma, whatever they were. Kansas is beating Oklahoma right now. Please come out to the game and support your Jayhawks. So they're showing pictures of the stadium like slowly filling up throughout the game. It still was not even close to full by the end of it. But I guess their stadium must be pretty close to campus if the students can just walk out of their dorms. I just imagine kids sitting on their couch watching TV and they're like, yeah, you want to go to the game? Yeah, it'd be cool. Let's be in the stadium when Kansas beats Oklahoma.
Yeah. And what are the odds that and this is even after they lost the game, you put up the numbers. Kansas outgained Oklahoma. Oklahoma was still highly thought of for a playoff spot. They outgained them 412 to 398, and most of that 398 came in the second half for Oklahoma in scrambling mode. Give them credit. They went on the road. They had a horrible game going, and they end up going 8-0. Kansas came in at 1-5, and they dropped after a tremendous effort. They dropped to 1-6, but some great individual efforts by Caleb Williams.
And the one individual effort that I think is pretty controversial that I think should have been called is on 4th and 1 from about the 50-yard line, up 5. Oklahoma's got about 3 minutes left, maybe we'll say. They're trying to just end the game, and Kansas is going to get the ball back at the 50-yard line. They stuff Kennedy Brooks in the backfield. They're pushing him backwards, and Caleb Williams runs up from in front of Kennedy Brooks and rips the ball out of his hands and falls forward for a first down. So then the refs review it, and they're talking, okay, well, is this a forward lateral? And they ruled that it's not a forward lateral because Kennedy Brooks was in the backfield. So since he was behind the line of scrimmage, you can't have a forward lateral. It's just the equivalent of a handoff. But he was without a doubt stuffed. He had no forward progress. The refs should have blown that dead for no forward progress. It couldn't have been reviewed either way. Kansas should have taken over on about the 48-yard line and had a couple minutes to try and win that game. And Oklahoma just escaped. I mean, give Caleb Williams credit. It was a heady play.
His savvy, you're right. Yep, it was a very heady play, and they certainly needed that because, boy, they were on the verge of being absolutely stunned.
Yep, and it was his legs that really did it for them. I mean, he's got a good arm. He's the number 1 recruit for a reason, but he is he's a powerful runner, but he's also fast. Like, he doesn't look like he'd be that fast. He's stout dude.
The long touchdown run he made, wasn't it 4th down then when he barely could
get 66-yarder?
All of a sudden he makes a cut and he's gone.
And and he had one against Kansas that was very reminiscent of the one against Texas where he came in and saved the day. So Spencer Rattler, I mean, it's safe to say he is not going to suit up at quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners again. I mean, he expected to play in that Kansas game because they thought it would be a blowout. But that was not the case. So I do think the refs, you can't completely blame them. I mean, it was a bang bang play, and according to the rules, that was not an illegal forward pass. It was behind the line of scrimmage, thus a normal handoff, even though it was handed off twice.
And when we
kind
come
of a
back
crazy
when we
situation.
come back for our next break, I want you to bring up the Iowa State call.
Yeah. The worst. I'm prepared to say, if you haven't seen it yet, if you're on Twitter, if you have social media, if you're by a computer, look up the Xavier Hutchinson touchdown for Iowa State that was called back for unsportsmanlike conduct. And we're going to come back and talk about it because these refs, they're getting carried away. I legitimately think that this referee should be suspended. So we'll discuss that. If you got any thoughts, 803-404-6100. Coming right back here on The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call and complain if you wish.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Remember, we're
in the morning, so you know the cooler weather is coming.
Yep. Agreed. If you can just, if he can rip it out of his own guy's hand, then the defense should have been able to just rip it out of his hands. But they always blow it dead and say the forward progress was stopped. It's not a fumble. So if you're going to do that, do it both ways. I agree. Oh my goodness. There are so many texts.
Your heating and air unit inspected today. Don't wait any longer. Call Roy and Dana Finley over at AAA Heating and Air. You need to make sure you tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Again, get them out there. $59 in a simple inspection. Make sure that unit is ready to handle what is coming this winter. We know there's going to be several chilly. You don't want to wake up and be out. Everybody in the house be angry at you. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Get them out there to do an inspection on your unit. If something's wrong, don't worry. AAA Heating and Air is not trying to break your budget. They'll work with you. They'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. Then, for those who qualify, 0% financing, no money down. You save money right here at Christmas time on a brand new unit, and they'll even offer you a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure they are there in case anything ever happens again. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunderson.
All right, I'm caught up. Did he cross the line of scrimmage, Trey? I actually don't know. I'm going to rewatch that play.
The first play.
Let's see if I can find it right now.
They swing up I-77 northbound at Blythewood Road, also Louis Road at Cedar Grove Road in Lexington. And of course, construction at I-20 eastbound between the final markers 55 and 58. The lane's kind of doing.
I guess he didn't.
Slowing things down a little bit. You shouldn't see those zones anymore.
The ball truly did. If you just trust the black line that is the line of scrimmage line on the broadcast, the ball might have actually crossed the line.
Sponsored by Circle K. Sip and save at Circle K with
Really?
a drink subscription. Enjoy
Terrible
one
call.
coffee.
So between the Caleb Williams play, the Hutchinson call, and Clemson throwing a shovel pass pick six, three of the wilder things that I've ever seen in college football happened in about a 2-hour span there.
Schedule online. ZeroResColumbia.com.
Hey y'all, it's Jay Phillips talking integrated media with Grayson Griner, the former Carolina catcher and now with the Detroit. How is still Columbia Integrated has set you up? What are you most excited about getting around now?
I would have to say just everything being under one roof. They're making it all integrated. There's the name comes smart TVs, sound systems with Sonos, surround sound, in-ceiling, in-wall speakers, the Control 4 system that controls everything from your smartphone, from the wall with the touchpad, having everything all-encompassing and making everything easy for us and making sure our house is safe.
They like check on the house, you're on the road in like Oakland or somewhere. You can turn the TV on.
You can unlock your house, good just for her to be able to get in, have a button when you walk in the door to turn the lights on, turn the TVs on, anything you can think of when it comes to a smart home integrated media can do in those.
Grayson loves them. I love them. I know you guys will too, whether you're building or remodeling or anything else. 803-948-8327, integratedmedia8.com. Call Integrated Media today. You're welcome. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Download the TuneIn app so you can take 1075 The Game with you wherever you on 1075 The Game.
The Trans-Siberian Orchestra is coming back to Columbia on Wednesday, December 8th at the Colonial Life Arena. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity that aims to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Tickets are on sale now. Welcome back into the early game. I do love Trans-Siberian
They
Orchestra.
are amazing.
803-404-6100 if you would like to join the show. And we were just talking about college football landscape as a whole. It was a wild Saturday. We talked Illinois, Penn State playing the longest in terms of periods played college football game ever. We talked about Kansas nearly upsetting Oklahoma, who was number 3. We did just also get a text from a KU grad. Was this Jim? Yeah, Jim says that he was a KU grad. The stadium's in the middle of campus. So yeah, that's kind of what they're doing. The stadium's right there. All the dorms are right by, and the kids are just walking right to the game if it's a good game. I guess they're going to play it by ear every Saturday in Lawrence,
Well, they
Kansas.
had the nation's attendance for quite a while on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, so that was fun. But
Attention, I should say.
yeah, so Iowa State takes down Oklahoma State at home, takes down number 8 undefeated Oklahoma State. But that was not the biggest story of the game. The biggest story of the game, I mean, maybe in the college football landscape, but the most talked about part of this game was a call that was made on Iowa State wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson, who catches a slant route, takes it to the house, probably 40 yards or so. Good play to tie the game up at 14-14. But the play is called back. If you haven't seen this play, go back and look it up, because taunting has been an emphasis in all levels of football this year. We've seen a couple of things in the NFL called back, or penalties that were pretty ridiculous, and college football has been no different. I've been on record saying I think the rule is a little harsh and kind of dumb, but you know what? I get it. And more so than what the problem with the rule is, you know what the rule is as a player. So just don't taunt. Don't look at a guy. It's pretty simple. You're not going to get flagged if you don't break the rule. Well, Xavier Hutchinson did get flagged. He got flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. You want to describe what he did? I truly can't describe what he did. He looked backwards as he was going to the end zone.
And he's probably 5 yards ahead of the defender who's chasing him down, and he looks backwards. Which you know, if I'm thinking I'm in pretty good shape, but want to be sure, I would glance back.
Yeah.
You know, if I think I'm still, if I do that. So he looked back, and then I don't know,
Half kicked up one leg like he was gonna.
I wouldn't call that strutting in the end zone or
No.
anything like that.
It was his right leg. He kicked it up as if he was thinking about starting a high step, and then decided against the high step and goes
a
into the
good
end.
thing to do. And then he gets called anyway. That's as blatant of a really the wrong spirit of this rule as I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you know, I would go so far as to say it is an abuse of power from that official. I genuinely think, and I haven't really seen anyone disagree except for potentially one person on the live stream who I'll have to go back and remember who it was.
I saw one on the text line too.
If that, and they're basically saying, well, the ref thought it was taunting. You don't know what he said. Well, I know that he didn't say anything loud enough for the refs to hear it. He was running full speed. Do you think he yelled back something and the refs hear?
Bonkers.
The crowd's going crazy. It's a home game. There's no way he said anything that was actually heard. And the ref said, well, I guess the argument would be, well, if they think that's taunting, then that's what it is. Well, if they think that's taunting, then they don't deserve to be officiating Power 5 football games.
Right.
Because that is ridiculous. That is an abuse of power. You are changing the course of the game to make yourself the star of the show. I don't know which official made that call, but they need to be in the commissioner's office or the head of officials whenever they do their wrap-ups. That is completely unacceptable, and they shouldn't be on the field this Saturday. They should actually be suspended for at least a week to think about that, because you take a touchdown away and it's against a top 10 team. There's millions of dollars on the line.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Iowa State is playing to be in a New Year's Six Bowl potentially. Oklahoma State's undefeated. They're potentially playing for a college football playoff berth if they can stay undefeated and beat Oklahoma. And you're you're making it all about yourself.
Now, answer me this.
They end up scoring on that drive.
They did. So the ball goes to the 18-yard line. Not only do you take it off it's one thing if you wipe it off the board and put it on the 1, and it's 4 chances to punch it in from the 1. The ball goes to the 18-yard line because they call it a spot foul. So they decided that he looked back at the 18-yard line. So they put the ball at the 18-yard line, and Iowa State has to fight, scratch and claw to score from the 18-yard line. I mean, that's
an abuse of power.
They just got absolutely screwed. And if you have any other thoughts other than
I'm glad it didn't cost them the game.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, if they didn't score on that drive and they have to settle for a field goal, that ref is costing the university money. Like, that is just awful. So between that, I think the forward progress should have been called against Kansas or called against Oklahoma in favor of Kansas. They should have had a chance to win the game. And frankly, Illinois should have won the game in regulation because 2 touchdowns called back on the same drive.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them should have been penalties. It was a pretty rough noon slate for the officials.
And we've talked about the statistical, really overwhelming advantage for Illinois against Penn State. Who in the world saw that coming?
Yeah.
And when you go for so many 2-point conversions in overtime, that wouldn't add a lot to the numbers anyway, but 357 yards rushing at Penn State. Are you kidding me? 395 total offense to 227. And they committed 3 turnovers to none for Penn State. And, they still get the win. That's just a very unlikely scenario. Happy for those Illinois folks. And then there's Wake Forest and Army.
Shootout.
Oh, my goodness.
Shootout. I'm going to go back and look at what the Vegas number was in that game because I did see that both teams.
I think it was 3, like on Thursday.
Or the over-under.
The over-under.
Yeah, Army, Wake Forest over-under. So I did see that both teams hit the over by themselves. So, I mean, the game was set at 53, and the final score was 70-56. I mean,
second highest scoring game in ACC history. I think about 4 years ago, somebody beat somebody 76-61. But 638 yards to 594 in favor of Wake there. No turnovers in a game like that. 2 for the cadets of Army. And as I mentioned, second highest game in ACC history, and the quarterback for Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, 458 yards and 5 touchdown passes. And this was a game that was thought to be maybe more of a lower scoring game, much lower than this, but this just broke so many records, and I think it's the most points Wake Forest has scored since the 1940s.
Wow.
And it's on the road, and I understand the place was just going crazy. It was packed there at Michie Stadium, but just not enough defense to slow down Wake.
No, it was actually a good day for the service academies too. I mean, neither of them won the games, but both of them were on the verge of upsetting top undefeated teams, top 10 undefeated teams, because Cincinnati basically had Navy handled. I think it was 10-10 at the half maybe, but they came out and put up a couple scores and a field goal. It was 24-10 late in the game. Navy fights back, makes it 24-13. Then they score a touchdown to make it a 1-score game, and onside kick with 48 seconds left. Unfortunately, when you're an offense like Navy's, where you are so run heavy, it's really hard to come back and score a touchdown with 48 seconds left. So they're forced to throw the football against Cincinnati's secondary, which is one of the best in the country. And Cincinnati picks it off, I think, on the second play of that final go-ahead drive.
And, and because Cincinnati's been such a juggernaut from a scoring standpoint, I'm going to give them a pass on this one.
I think
because Navy was only a 1-win team. I thought it would be about a 30-point game, 31 points. Ends up 27-20. But when you're up against an underdog and things are going that much against you for much of the game, to come back and win, I think they do, from all the great football they've played since Coach Fickle has been there, I think they deserve a pass on this. And let's see what happens the rest of the way.
And I wonder if people will give them that pass, because this probably will be held against them in some college football playoff discussions. But this was just a weekend where all of the big dogs kind of sleptwalk through the weekend and thought they'd just roll the helmets out and win football games. There's only nine undefeated teams left in the country right now. It's Cincinnati, Georgia, Michigan, Michigan State, Oklahoma, San Diego State, SMU, UTSA, and the Wake Forest Deacons.
Yep, and UTSA, they just put it on. Louisiana Tech?
Yep.
I mean, I didn't see that route coming. I thought it would be a pretty close game.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the Big Ten is going to be the interesting one. If Cincinnati wants to make the college football playoff, they really need to look around the Big Ten footprint, just right around them. And all eyes will be on Lansing, Michigan next week, because undefeated Michigan is traveling to Lansing to play undefeated Michigan State, which could very well decide a lot of the Big Ten right there. So both these teams, the Big Ten is going to cannibalize itself in the next couple weeks. Michigan plays Michigan State. They're all going to play Penn State. They're all going to play Ohio State. All these teams, these undefeated or one-loss teams are going to play each other. And Cincinnati's got to just basically cross their fingers and hope that all of them beat each other and everyone comes out of this thing with 2 losses. If you head into the Big Ten championship weekend and both teams have at least 2 losses, you feel pretty good about being able to get in. If a undefeated Cincinnati team can't get in over a 2-loss Big Ten champion, then really the group of 5 teams never going to have a chance. So I do hope for Cincinnati's sake that they can make this happen. But we shall see. There's really a lot to be decided left in college football. There's not a big-time juggernaut other than Georgia. Georgia just doesn't even play a game. Their stock goes up every week, and even when they don't play, their stock goes up because every other team looked beatable this week, and Georgia's just sitting at home laughing. So we'll see what they can do when they come back. I can't imagine anyone upsetting that team right now. It seems like Georgia and Alabama are on a collision course right now to meet in Atlanta.
Yep.
And both those teams are probably going to end up in the college football playoff unless something crazy happens.
And, I'm happy for Stetson Bennett. I think he's kind of almost stolen the spotlight from Daniels there. I think Daniels is healthy enough to play now. But Stetson Bennett really came the national media, and I guess the fans too, for a certain extent, after that game against Alabama last year when he just had a bad second half after really playing well in the first half.
Yeah,
he has kind of come under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of criticism, and of course I'm partial because his granddad used to play quarterback for the Gamecocks back when I was a little boy. But at the same time, Georgia, the way they play defense, it's just like any other sport, whether you're trying to make baskets on offense in basketball or you're trying to score a lot of runs in baseball. Offense doesn't travel like defense does.
Right.
And Georgia plays as good a defense or better. I think anybody would say right now better than anybody in the country, and that'll carry you a long way, maybe to a national title.
They play defense about as good as you're ever going to see it played in college football. I mean, in the era of just big-time offense, Georgia is really changing the narrative and winning games single-handedly on defense. They are incredible, and Stetson Bennett really just needs to manage the games. I think people were they wanted JT Daniels because he's clearly physically more talented than Stetson Bennett. He's got a rocket of an arm, and he was the number 1 quarterback in the country coming out of Mater Dei, another California kid in the Southeast playing quarterback. And he can throw it anywhere on the field, but he's a little more careless with the football. Stetson Bennett just manages games, makes the smart play, keeps the chains moving.
Once in a while, to be fair, he'll throw it into a crowd when he shouldn't do it. But overall, as far as his life on the field, his spirit on the field, his legs making first downs for him, where Daniels doesn't do that near as much. I think I love the way Stetson Bennett plays.
I think they like playing with him and for him too. I think he's a veteran, and everybody respects him on that team. He's been there,
and his journey to get there,
yeah,
just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But happy for that young man.
Yeah. So we're not gonna spend the whole morning praising Georgia, but I mean, Georgia is just ridiculously good. We've covered most of the national games. We will be getting back into the Gamecocks. We got 30 minutes left in the show. Give us a call, shoot us a text, 803-404-6100. That's the number to the Love Chevrolet phone lines and the Cool Care Heating and Air text lines. Also join us on the live stream sponsored by Beaufort Lending, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter. I think is Twitter live streamed as well. You can find us there. One more thing, Tommy.
Yep. In our last segment, some great Tommy trivia today brought to you by Midstate Roofing. One of the better days as far as birthdays and some of the events in history.
All right. So you got that to look forward to. Keep it right here. We'll be right back here on the early game on What is 75 Game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Did you call Ben? Did you get evaluation of your current mortgage payment status? Did you see if you could lower your interest rate, save money, put it back into your pocket? Did you do it? If not, you're missing a golden opportunity. Right now, interest rates.
Agreed. See, I just got a text that says if they scored on the drive, then the call has no significance. You can if the call all day long. That means it doesn't. I mean, just because they ended up scoring doesn't mean the call has no significance. It's significant because it's one of the worst calls you're ever going to see.
And what it could have meant.
I mean, it doesn't just excuse the refs. The refs don't just get it passed because they scored on the drive. I guess Buddy B's probably not watching since he texted in, but.
Taking advantage of the increasing property values nationwide. Are you one of those? Did you call Benji yesterday? If not, why not call him today? Why not call him this afternoon? When you got 10 minutes, free time. You get a free evaluation anytime, day or night, with an experienced staff. 833-524-2404. Let Benji Angie and his team earn your business. They want to earn your business. There's not many people out there like that right now that want to actually earn your business.
All right, so we'll come back with number 3 to close out most of the Beamer stuff, and then we'll save the Jason Brown stuff for tomorrow. That'll probably be the focus of tomorrow's show.
Some of the best in the business when it comes to helping you with refinancing opportunities, with saving clients.
What's the most random Gamecock sports fact you know?
Great opportunity. If you have to call Buford Living at 843-524.
Public Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality, shepherdsglass.com. I-77 northbound at Blythewood Road, still in
Let me address that.
there, as well
I'm just going to tell them that I'm going to have a random,
and one of the
probably not today, but I will because that's a great question.
A little bit of rain possible today, and 82 for the high, 74 for the high tomorrow, under the 25. It is steady at 66 right now, 175 today.
Hi, everybody. This is Jerry Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Now, I can't stop anymore, but the girls on Madison's dance this fall. How you doing?
Oh, I know, I can address it.
Everywhere for Pioneer Tree Service.
It hasn't rained at a Carolina Clemson game in Columbia since the 1940s. Wow. Maybe 10 times at Clemson in that period. It hasn't rained at a Carolina Clemson game in Columbia.
There you go, Trey. See, that's what you get on the live stream. This is what they don't get on the air. This is why we need people on the live stream. It hasn't rained at a Clemson-Carolina game in Columbia since the 1940s. It has rained countless times at Clemson in that time.
We will raise your tree
The legend cometh.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof,
Oh,
you
gosh.
need a whole new roof.
Doug Nye, Tommy, you knew my dad. I got to address her too. Oh,
1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Midstate Roofing has established its reputation as the
Thanks,
leader
Anthony.
in the roofing industry.
I was a little worried about having to control the show without Bill here.
yeah. Bring up Trey and Homewood. I'll touch that quickly.
And waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Midstate roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Midstate has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Football season is here. Visit Discount Tire and let our pros take care of you, so you never miss a moment.
Robin
of the
Bacon,
game. Get
great
30%
football coach
shorter
at Spring Valley,
advertising
old friend of
when you buy
mine.
and book
My daughter's
online.
just thinking home the moon.
Use Treadwell, your personal tire
Talking about the Iowa
to
State,
find the right tire.
dumbest call maybe of all time, taking fun out of the game. Love your guys' show. First of all, he said high school has the same rule about tongue.
Discount Tire.
So evidently, when he looked back, the officials assuming he's saying something taunting to that's terrible.
Yeah, you can't make that assumption.
Makes you fall in love with podcasts. The One is out there and free on Spotify. With over 2 million shows and today's most talked about podcasts, Spotify is the best place to find that one special show that makes you laugh, keeps you interested, and keeps you listening for more. Whatever you're into, get way more into it with a podcast. Find the one you've been listening for right now, free on Spotify.
Let's start with all the Halloween enthusiasts who also have a bit of a sweet tooth. Narrow it to those chocoholics who hit their own supply a little too hard and are now running dangerously low. For you, Walgreens has candy and other last-minute Halloween must-haves with pickup in as little as 30 minutes, so you can refill that candy bowl fast.
And Trey's also asking about John West, the track coach. I knew him well. And we called him the governor because John West was governor at the time, but it's different governor.
Seahawks taking on the Saints. Jameis Winston in New Orleans coming off their bye week and looking to improve on their 3-2 season start. Seattle is, of course, without Russell Wilson coming off a tough overtime loss to the Steelers, hoping
To lead the Seahawks to their first home win of the season, Geno Smith will be under center.
We can't keep coming up short. I can't keep coming up short. I put that on myself, and I vow to be better. But one thing I know about this team, we're not going to hang our heads. We're going to bounce back. We're going to find a way to bounce back and get a win.
Kevin Harlan and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner will have all the action from Seattle when the Seahawks host the Saints on Monday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long, right here on 107.5 The Game.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero
and
heartburn
2
is
trade real quickly.
possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
She's gonna play. She's gonna play a Beamer clip as we come in too.
Our free fix finder service can read your check-in.
And in our last segment,
GPS light
if
and
I could
service
just get
ending.
3 minutes for the
Give you
trivia.
possible solutions.
Yeah, we'll get out of here at 40,
Detailed results that
45 to 47.
have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician verified fixes. The free fix finder service, only at AutoZone. More details at AutoZone.com.
And now, back to the
It's a three coming back.
Yes.
on 107.
Thank you.
The Game.
Game was a call that was made on Iowa State wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson, who catches
Certainly
a
got
slant
some
route,
issues. You
takes it
got
to the house,
to
probably
figure out,
40 yards.
and again, give Texas A&M credit. This is the best defense, and no disrespect to Kentucky or anybody else that we play, but this is the most impressive group personnel-wise that we played since Georgia. And not having being down a little bit and not having Wanham out there certainly didn't help. But we got confidence in the guys that we had out there tonight, and we've got to perform better. I mean, they were definitely heating us up, but then they were also sacking us when they were rushing 4 as well, and not having to bring pressure. And we've got to be able to block. We're SEC football players too. And we're an SEC football team. We've got to be able to block guys when they bring 4 as well. I mean, we tried to move the pocket a little bit and get the quarterbacks on the run. We tried to chip with the tight ends and running backs to give those tackles some help. And we knew going into it that they were going to win some one-on-one battles. Their front 7 was, and we needed to win our share as well. And we obviously didn't do enough of that in the first half. When you only have 21 plays and you go 0 for 6 on third down in the first half, that's a recipe for disaster against a good football team.
Shane Beamer talking about the offensive line and just the offensive struggles in general, which start with the offensive line, and that's basically been the centerpiece of the discussion and what you guys are texting in on the Cool Care
Under
meeting and
much
our text
scrutiny
lines.
all season.
Yep. Along with the offense coordinator in particular. He is the one getting the lion's share of the blame, and it's hard to disagree with anyone saying so. Run through some of your texts real quick. We need Gamecock Zach says we need some coaching changes on the offensive side of the ball. Our offense is worse than it was in 2016, which is saying a lot. I told everyone before the game that the offense would look no different with Zeb, and I was right. Players don't know what they're doing pre-snap. We have way too many holding and false start penalties. Beamer has some tough decisions to make, but they have to be done. We have 3 very good running backs, and we couldn't even run on East Carolina. The only part I disagree with that is I think we have 4 very good running backs.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So Patrick, different Patrick, not me, says, referring to play calling, because Shane Beamer said the play calling was good, and a couple people said the play calling was okay. And I don't think the play calling was awful, but there are some moments where you're just left scratching your head. And Patrick says, I don't know. Play calling in big moments has been bad. 2 plays from the one with odd calls, 2 straight games where we have 4th and 4 where the design was to throw short of the sticks. Big moments where he makes indefensible decisions on play calls. That drives me crazy more than anything. I get so annoyed every time there's a 4th down or a 3rd down and the ball is thrown several yards short of the sticks.
Yeah. You see it a lot.
Call a play where everybody's running past the first down marker. Why are we doing this? Guys are just getting hit as soon as they catch the ball. I mean, Zaquandre White's making everybody miss, but on a big 4th down, they throw it to the sideline to him and his back is turned and he gets hit as soon as he catches the ball.
Yep.
There's no chance for him to be able to make a play on that. Let him run past the sticks or at least throw him the ball with a head of steam. Don't throw it to a guy turning backwards like a dig route or anything like that that comes short of the line. Maybe that's the player's not running deep enough, but when it's a running back, I don't think you're blaming the player. I think you're blaming the design of the play. And then Raj says, I'm not an offensive mastermind like Satterfield, but did we run the ball on 3rd and 12 in the first quarter? And yes, we absolutely did. This was drive number 3, where he throws a slant to Josh Van the first time they've crossed midfield. Then the next 2 plays are Amarian Brown getting hit by the snap when he's in motion, Zeb Nolan throwing it over Amarian Brown's head. Then you're left with 3rd and 12 from the 41-yard line. That's XA&M 41-yard line. So you're in position for a 58-yard field goal. You need to get in field goal range because you have a good kicker. And what do you elect to do? You run a draw play with Marshawn Lloyd on 3rd and 12, gain 2 yards, and you end up punting from the 39. I mean,
it was a frustration call. It was a keep your quarterback safe kind of call. It was and I understand how it makes no sense. That's preaching to the choir here with there. But the call at the goal line at Tennessee on the 1.5 yard line. That's frustrating. But I think I will defend Marcus Satterfield's play calling as a whole this season. I just think the execution and the blocking is defeating him, causing him not to be able to succeed.
I am glad Raj brought up that 3rd and 12 run because, it's 7-0 at this point. You just had an interception. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get points off turnovers. I don't know how many points. Maybe somebody can do a deep dive, or I'll do a deep dive when I get home. How many points off of turnovers does South Carolina have this year? It's not a lot.
Well, they don't have a lot of points, period.
No, and it's 7-0. You have a chance to get points on the board early. Maybe shut the crowd up a little bit. Have a little dignity going into the next drive where Texas just jams it 10 plays, 90 yards down your throat. Mm-hmm. Sure, you pin them inside the 10-yard line or at the 10-yard line, but what does that do? Ultimately, nothing. It's 3rd and 12 from the 41-yard line. You have a kicker who is about to be the leading scorer in school history, who can kick the ball over 50 yards. All you got to do is get him 8, make it a 50-yarder, and you just run a draw play for 2 yards against a defensive line that you can't block. That's just, that's a giving up call. That's a quitter call. I can't fathom the decision-making process behind that thing.
Yeah. And of course the pick sixes that Carolina's had, that certainly take advantage of turnovers for sure. But I understand where you're coming from and where the listeners are coming from with that. I want to acknowledge a couple of messages we got in. First of all, Hope, always great to hear from you. Said you knew my dad, Doug Nye, one of the greatest sports writers we've ever had around here. And I used to love his Western movies and Western TV shows column in the newspaper every week. Just one of my favorite people. Doug Nye certainly is missed. He put together a Carolina Clemson course for the university, combining with ETV over at their station over at their studios, and just a prince of a guy and a great professional at what he did. And I certainly miss Doug Nye to this day. Matter of fact, one of the last things I asked Doug, here's some trivia for you, before he was took ill and passed away, because we both love music. And I said, Doug, your favorite song of all time. And he thought about it for about a minute or so. He said, Save the Last Dance for Me by the Drifters. And I couldn't agree more. That's a fantastic song. So remembering Hope's father, Doug Nye. Trey has a question about what's the most random Gamecock fact that Tommy can come up with. And I thought about it a couple minutes, and I mentioned it briefly on the show last week, but I always do during the Carolina Clemson week, that it has not rained at a Carolina Clemson game in Columbia since the late 1940s. Several times it's rained at Clemson, one of those quirky kind of things that's just worked out that way. But in 1950, the day that Steve Wadiak set the school rushing record with 256 yards against the Tigers in a 14-14 tie, it flooded that morning. But about an hour before kickoff, the sun came out. It was a quagmire to play in, but it did not rain. And in 2005, Mike Morgan and I were doing, for posterity's sake, university allowed us to do the Carolina Clemson game on radio, but they didn't have a spot for us. So we were up there near the light tower doing this with our table up there. And that game, Clemson won 13-9. I got back to my car, started to pull off, and it started raining about 30 minutes after game time, and it rained really, really hard that night. But it's one of those quirky things of nature. And he also asked me if I remember John West, the track coach. He was there when I was playing. And we called him the governor because Carolina, the state had a governor named John West, but just a fantastic guy. I think his roots were at Furman, but just a tremendous track coach for the university too. But we appreciate all of these messages.
Yep. I really hope you didn't just jinx it though, Tommy, because the Clemson game's on my birthday this year, and I want to tailgate.
Well,
and I don't want to get rained on.
I've been pointing that out for 30 years in my football newsletter back in the day, so it hadn't happened yet.
Well, let's not break that streak this year, okay? All right. Tommy Trivia coming up next. Had a lot of fun this morning. A lot of texts, a lot of calls. Thank you guys. We appreciate the interaction. Final segment coming up. Monday Morning Therapy almost over. I'm feeling better. I hope you guys are. Keep it right here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoffs are here.
Sometime.
Break, defeated the boy. Tell them to get out there and give it all. College football playoffs are here on 107.5.
All right, that's about it.
All right.
Almost there.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. Shepherd'sGlass.com. Arrow Road at Jenkins Brothers Road, an accident there, as well as
We have Pedro Martinez's birthday, Bobby Knight's birthday.
Forecast for today, a little bit of rain, maybe a storm in there. 82 for the high, cools down, but we get
PJ Dozier's birthday today, 25.
right now 67 at 175.
And Michael Ruzioni, the captain of the Miracle on Ice team, he's having a birthday. He's 67.
Captain
America.
Blue Shield federal
Yeah, really.
employee program. They cover more federal employees, retirees, and their families than any other health plan. Now it's time to see what they can do for you. Learn more about healthy benefits at sepblue.org/weekend.
Trip Island Golf and Beach Resort offers guests over 3 miles of unspoiled, uncrowded beach, plus 2 championship golf courses, tennis and pickleball courts, a full-service marina and activity center, with 5 outdoor pool complexes and outstanding island dining. Trip Island is paradise for the whole family. Check out our fantastic vacation rentals, ranging from large oceanfront homes to intimate villas and golf cottages. Discover the simple seaside serenity of Trip Island Golf and Beach Resort when you book today.
How about this oddity for you? 1997, Carolina beat Vanderbilt 35-3. Okay.
Yeah.
They outgained us. We beat them 35-3, and they outgained us 330-273.
Lives were lost and goods perished along the way. Aren't you glad it's not 1896?
Schroeder's Towing is here ready to haul whatever you got to wherever it needs to go. We've got customers and secret signs ready to work for you. Heavy equipment, buses, campers, coaches, forklifts, we do it all. Online at SchroedersTowing.com. Schroeder's Towing, the best hookers and now haulers in town.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're on the way and bringing friends and family with them. I'm Eddie Springer of Trey Cow Builders, and right now is the time to update, upgrade, and remodel for all the gatherings ahead. Whether it's your kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or whole house that needs remodeling, with Trey Cow, it's easy. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. Call 60-8211.
Yeah, just a little more than 2.5 minutes coming back.
Right into it.
TRACALBuilders.com. Trey Cow Builders, quality from start to finish.
Silverados are back in stock at Herndon Chevrolet. We're ready to kick the inventory shortage to the curb with new trucks available now. Trade in and trade up to a new ride and leave the stress of last year.
Are we looking at 5450 to go out?
Yeah. Visit Herndon Chevrolet online at HerndonChevy.com.
Yeah, once she hits the music, it'll be 1 minute.
Glass has provided commercial, residential, and auto glass installation, repair, and replacement for over 50 years in West Columbia. They now have a new second location in Chapin. Large retail storefronts, auto, and custom shower enclosures and mirrors for that remodeling or new construction project. Visit ShepherdsGlass.com to see and learn more. Now with 2 locations in West Columbia and their newest location in Chapin at 55 Chapin Road.
Shepherd's Glass, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by, shop online today.
See why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
And we are back here with some Tommy trivia for you before we sign off here on the early game. Gamecock football on this date, October 25th, 7-6-1 all time. And one of those wins came over Clemson on Big Thursday in 1951, a tie with Clemson on Big Thursday as well. And yesterday was the 40th anniversary of the Gamecocks' stunning upset of number 3 undefeated North Carolina in Chapel Hill, 31-13 back in 81. And this one really was frustrating, but boy, we had a good time. 1975, LSU beat Carolina 24-6 in Baton Rouge. Gamecocks actually the favored team in that game. They were off to a 5-1 start after the miracle at Jackson, but all was not lost. All those on the Carol C. Wells bus trip. We had a fantastic time in New Orleans, and I'm speaking there from experience right there. Also, on this date in 1964, Jim Marshall, great lineman for the Minnesota Vikings, went into the record books for a very wrong reason. Voted the #1 blooper in NFL history on this date in 64. He ran 66 yards with a fumble the wrong way for a safety. 1978 on this date, Gaylord Perry became the first pitcher in history to win the Cy Young Award in both leagues. 1981, wish I could have seen this. George Steinbrenner got into a fight with two fans in a hotel elevator. Evidently, they weren't fans of his. 1987 on this date, the Minnesota Twins won their very first World Series 4-3 over the Cardinals. Birthdays on this date. Former Gamecock lineman Calvin Stevens. He was a great player. He would have been 54 today. Sadly, he passed away in 2010, third-round pick in 1991 of the Patriots. Former Gamecock star defender Corey Miller, 53, Pageland, South Carolina, several years in the NFL. 7 picks, 4 fumble recoveries, 14 sacks, and 252 tackles. Happy 50 to Hall of Famer Pedro Martinez. Bobby Knight is now 81, Massillon, Ohio. The Flying Scot, the hero of the shot heard around the world for the New York Giants in 1951. Bobby Thompson would have been 98 today. Dave Cowens and Dan Issel, 2 basketball Hall of Famers, are both 73 today. P.J. Dozier, former Gamecocks, 25, out of Spring Valley High School. And that's some Tommy trivia brought to you by Midstate Roofing. If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek there. MidstateRoofing.com or call them at 356-1919. And one more birthday. Miracle on Ice, USA Captain Mike Eruzione is 67 out of Winthrop, Massachusetts.
There you have it. Tommy trivia to wrap it up. It's the end of Monday morning therapy. We'll have at least a week off from Monday morning therapy with a bye week this week. We appreciate all of the contributions on the Love Shirley phone line, Cool Care Heating Air text line, and the live stream sponsored by Beaufort Lending. We'll be back tomorrow. Tommy and I one more day before Bill Gunter's triumphant return. So everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.
I thought I would need the time. I thought we would have a time to do the high school scores. We didn't even need them.
No, we Mondays, especially a game like that, fly through.
Yeah, I guess so.
For sure.
Everyone, thank you
We get to see the
guys.
live streamers. Yeah.
Thanks, Hope. Thanks, Craig. I was a little worried about hosting without Bill. I've never done that before, but I think it went well.
Yeah,
You did.
All right, everybody, we will
can
see you
breathe.
tomorrow. Yeah, still a lot to talk about. So everyone have
Yeah,
a great
lots.
Monday.